Ukrainian officials are rejecting a Russian demand that Ukrainian forces in Mariupol lay down arms and raise white flags. That would be in exchange for safe passage out of the city. Democrats are wondering how tough Republicans are going to be on President Biden's first nominee to the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says he's had a one-on-one discussion with Judge Jackson, and despite how he says Democrats have treated nominees Republican presidents have put forward, he said on CBS Face the Nation he expects a cordial process.
It'll be a respectful, deep dive into her record, which I think is entirely appropriate for a lifetime appointment.
One GOP Judiciary Committee member, Josh Hawley of Missouri, did sharply criticize what he called the judge's alarming record on child pornography cases last week on Twitter. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Run, walk, honor. The Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk in New York City retraces FDNY firefighter Stephen Siller's final footsteps on 9/11. That single event has inspired more than 70 runs, walks, and climbs in different cities across the nation each year. Register for an event in your area or volunteer to start one. Do good and never forget by donating $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historically low rates combined with rising home values means that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about our smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to loandepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:03:56 right now in Columbia. Our high today will be around 75. Rain in the forecast tonight with a low near 52. Your complete forecast is coming up here in a few moments. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories that we are working on for you on this busy Monday morning. Boone County Sheriff's deputies say human remains found Sunday afternoon in Rocky Fork Conservation Area just north of Columbia, believed to be that of missing woman Angie Rice. ABC 17's Kennedy Miller reports from the conservation area.
Rice's vehicle was located in the parking lot of this area on December 31st. Police tell me numerous searches of the area have been conducted since Rice was reported missing. However, Rice's body was not located during those searches.
ABC 17's Kennedy Rice reporting from Rocky Fork. Now, that area is 6 miles north of Columbia. It's near Highway 63. Angie Rice was 45 years old. The body has been turned over to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. Meantime, the arraignment date has not been set yet for a truck driver who's been indicted for manslaughter for the December I-70 crash that killed Boone County Fire District Assistant Chief Brian Gladney. 64-year-old Kevin Brunson was indicted on one felony count of involuntary manslaughter on Friday afternoon. The Boone County grand jury handing down that indictment Friday afternoon. As of now, the truck driver has not been taken into custody. Legislation creating a one-time 6-month suspension of Missouri's gas tax could be heard this week by a House committee in Jefferson City. Lawmakers return to the state capitol in Jefferson City after their spring break today. St. Charles Republican Representative Adam Schwadron tells 93.9 The Eagle's Randy Tobler show that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is boosting gas prices, impacting hardworking Americans trying to get to work.
This would just be the state portion, the 19.5 cents. There is talk on the federal level. It's actually bipartisan talk where you've got 6 Democratic senators calling for the suspension of the federal gas tax through the end of the year.
The bill has been referred to the House Special Committee on Government Oversight. He says he's spoken to the House Speaker, Rob Vescovo, and his staff about the bill. Columbia City Council will first read a bill tonight repealing the city's prohibition on residential roll carts. They'll also first read a bill placing the issue on Columbia's August 2nd ballot. The city clerk, Sheila Amin, says the petition organizer, Rachel Prophet, has collected enough signatures to place the issue on the August ballot. A bill providing community memberships to Moberly Area Community College's new state-of-the-art lab here in Columbia on the business loop will be voted voted on tonight by Columbia City Council. The bill is being pushed by Mayor Brian Treese, who tells 93.9 The Eagle that improving job skills is crucial as we pull out of the pandemic.
I mean, think about if you were downsized or maybe just part of that great quit, where you want to go do something else for a change. This is a way that you can scale up. You can take that step with a 3D printer. Maybe you want to invent something.
The mayor and the governor helped cut the ribbon on the lab earlier this month. Efforts to prevent self-harm and suicides at Columbia's tallest parking garage will be addressed by the city council tonight. The city has completed a $489,000 project to install fencing at the top level of the 5th and Walnut garage. It opened in 2011. Council votes tonight on a bill to fund the installation of side window panels. In Columbia, area residents have another dining option effective here this morning. The city's second Culver's will open this morning near heavily traveled Stadium in Bernadette, across the street from Columbia Mall. The city council approved that project that involved tearing down a former Ruby Tuesday. Culver's had a VIP event on Saturday. The new restaurant has a patio with outdoor seating, covered drive-through as well. They open their doors to the public a little bit later this morning. Our news is brought to you live by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, the Mizzou men's basketball team has found a new coach in Cleveland State head coach Dennis Gates. That's according to several reports this morning, including one by ABC 17 sports director Andrew Kaufman. Gates spent 3 seasons in Cleveland, appearing in the NCAA tournament in 2021. And congratulations to both the Tolton and Helias boys basketball teams. They both had fabulous seasons, both of them finishing second in state in their various levels. Helias in February had a record, actually a losing record, and they went on fire. 9 of 11 games they won, finishing second in the state. Congratulations to both of those squads. Webster Groves beating Helias, by the way, and Webster Groves coached by a former Helias student in that area. Our news time, 6:08. All right, John, thanks. Weather brought to you by Club Car Wash. ClubCarWash.com. Find a location near you. 56 degrees. 6:08, traffic check. MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Roads pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. We hope that continues. If you want to report a traffic issue, it's 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
We have extreme problems with retaining our sanitation workers. We're asking them to do very hard and difficult work that often involves injuries. The city has paid out quite a lot for that.
Hundreds of thousands of municipalities across the United States use automated refuse and recycling trucks with rolling carts. This system has several benefits. First, roll carts are significantly safer for the sanitation workers, as most of the labor is done by automated arm on the truck.
Good morning. It's April the 2nd, 2016, here on the show. Oh, my God. Roll carts, man. City Council tonight. There's a lot of things, and I want to get to that here in just a second, but first, do want to start in Ukraine with what's happening there. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, is warning of a third world war. And we've heard some of his words over the past week. Congresswoman Hartzler is here talking about this very impassioned speech that he gave before Congress last week. So Joe Biden this weekend at the beach riding his bicycle.
Did it have a little flag on the back of it?
Come on, Joe. Little basket up front for his shades. On the verge of World War III, according to the Ukrainian president, everything else going on, gas prices, which he promised to bring down, problems at our southern border, problems in Ukraine and Russia, problems with paying for groceries, energy prices, all this. Joe Biden is at the beach riding his bicycle. And we do, by the way, we have more and more, apparently, folks from mid-Missouri. Was chatting with folks at the Cobo Man Show over the weekend. What a blast that was. But more and more folks from military from mid-Missouri headed over that way. Biden getting ready to make a trip to Europe. So that's one of the things that we are going to be covering this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle, but something that will affect some 120,000 residents here in mid-Missouri, the city of Columbia. Are you kidding me? Roll carts. For 7 years, been saying this. I can't believe this is still an issue. And it's not just the roll carts. The entire subject of trash. It's mind-numbing how we cannot get our head around a good way to handle trash pickup in the city of Columbia.
But there is a good way to deal with it, and it's roll carts.
And they can't get their head around it. Nobody for 7 years. No matter who the council person is, no matter who the mayor has been, whether it's Bob McDavid, whether it's Brian Treese, whether Lauren Hauser's on the council or Matt Bitzer, whether it's whoever it is.
This goes back to past Darwin Heineman. This even is the Darwin Heineman era.
Michael Trapp. I'm trying to think of Clyde Ruffin. All these former city people on the city council. We can't do it. And then somebody, a year ago, here's a good idea. We'll give you 2 trash bags a week.
Which is terrible. Whose idea was this?
We'll put our logo on it, and people can dump that trash bag with our city. What a great advertisement for the city, right? You're driving down, you're visiting from somewhere else, and you're checking out Columbia, Missouri for the first time. First of all, if you're getting off on the 6370 interchange, what a dump that is and all the trash that's there. And then you pull into towns and you see these trash bags sitting on people's front yards. City of Columbia. It's like, is this the best we can do when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, or you see the trash just littered all over the street because the animals have gotten to the bags. There's so many problems wrong with his bags. And don't you have to, buy extra bags if you're over the 2? That's true. My most controversial vote to date on the Board of Aldermen in Ashland was to get a second roll cart for recycling. And I'm still mad about it. Just talking about it, I'm like, why couldn't we get the second roll cart?
So this will be front and center tonight's city council meeting.
No doubt about it, Branden and Stephanie. And yes, this is going to be a first read bill tonight. In a nutshell, there's 2 separate ordinances. One would actually repeal the prohibition on residential roll carts, but it's tied in with the second bill, which is really tied in with it, to place the issue on the August 2nd ballot. There is an organizer. Her name is Rachel Proffitt, Proffitt. She has collected enough signatures to place it on the ballot. In a nutshell, under the way the rule works here in Columbia, she needs registered voter signatures of at least 20% of those who voted in the 2019 mayoral election. According to Sheila Amin, she needed 3,219 signatures. She has at least 3,244. That means the petition has been signed by a sufficient number of registered voters. And again, I'm not an attorney, guys, but the way I read it, it will be on the August ballot. They don't have any choice.
And then the next challenge is, so we get it past the city council, then the next challenge is, and what gets me all twisted up in knots is, of course, and sometimes I might hang out in an echo chamber, and we get people for years now been calling the station. I feel like most people do want roll carts if I'm basing that on what I hear. But that doesn't matter. What we hear on the radio station is what happens when people go to the polls and then actually vote, and it's failed before, and then they put in this ordinance, we're going to ban the idea of roll. It's just.
But here's the thing, Branden, and your point is what you hear. I think it's very important to note that a lot of the opponents that are opposed to roll carts tend to be older people, because this has been going on 20 years, and I've covered them. They are, and I think it's important for our listeners to know this. They are, many of them are single issue voters. Some of them have said it in meetings. This is bigger than guns, abortion, and single issue voters, and they will come out to the polls. They will come out. I mean, I'm telling you, this is not a slam dunk. It's not.
No, it's also just because they're pushing it forward, and just because it will go to the ballot, very likely, it doesn't mean again that's it. And can't we just make it so? Can't the city council just do it. Just make it so.
Not really.
So I'm wondering, what is more frustrating? That we're still dealing with the trash bags. And by the way, I have an idea for saving the city some money. I'm always...
oh, no. It makes me nervous when you say that.
I'm always trying to... How can I make my community a better place? Where I live, how can I make it better? How can I save taxpayer money? And I'm thinking with these printed bags, there's a cost in printing the bags. There's an added cost. I'm sure it's minimal per bag, but you add it up for, however, I don't know, 120, 240,000 bags. I don't know how many they do. That's got to be a lot of ink. And they put the fancy logo, City of Columbia. My idea is we just like a monogram. You put COC on the bags. Instead of City of Columbia, COC. So you have a big COC when people are driving through town. Instead of seeing the City of Columbia emblem on our bags, which is just bad marketing for our town, put COC, big COC, so everybody sees that. And it will save money on printing, in my estimation. Roy Lovelady, shame on you. Roy Lovelady, 3rd Ward City Council candidate. He's going to be here at 6:35. This is a guy, he's kind of an interesting cat. He's running against Carl Scala, who needs to get the hell out. He really does. He needs to be gone because so many people are wanting change. I'm hopeful that eventually this thing with the roll carts, I'm hopeful that eventually it will pass. I'm hoping that Carl Scala will be gone. He's just been there for too long. He comes across what's not, some people are arrogant and they think they're better than everybody else. And then there's snooty, kind of a quiet, I think I'm better than you because I play tennis, but I understand pickleball. But they try to talk, above everybody's heads to let you know that they're smarter.
Is their voice also really high?
Yeah, I know pickleball. I get it. He's just been there. And those are personal things, and I apologize. But he needs to be gone. So this Roy Lovelady, as I've been watching him at various council candidates over the past several months, he's kind of, I don't know how to describe him. Kind of a wild card. But I like his style. So he's going to be joining us at 6:35 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live also this morning. We're going to be chatting with Jefferson County State Rep Shane Roden. I like it whenever we have folks from out of district. It's interesting to see what's going on in their district, but on a larger scale. So we've had medical marijuana legalized in Missouri for a couple of years now, and there's another push to make recreational marijuana legal. And there are so many people for different reasons that are totally on board with recreational marijuana. I would not partake, but I'm on board with it. If you want to use it, you should be able to use it. There's health benefits to it. I find it far less dangerous than alcohol is. Why not? And then you get people like from the NAACP. They're on board with it because, more people are in jail because of more black people in jail because of marijuana. So for, racial reasons, we got to do this. There's a lot of people on board with this. You know who's not really on board with it?
Who?
Medical marijuana industry. Because there's like, hey, and we'll find out more reasons, but they're like, hey, we did a lot of the work and all this. And then what happens when you make recreation? How many people right now have medical marijuana cards that went to a doctor, I got back pain, or I'm bummed out? And that's a lot that is legitimate, especially when it comes to mental health issues. That's legitimate. But there's a lot of people, if we're honest, and we always try to be honest here on the show, there's a lot of people that are going out, getting a card. Yeah, I found that, cannabis helps. So they get a medical marijuana card. Everybody makes money. They go to the medical marijuana dispensary. What happens when recreational weed becomes legal? Guess what? You don't need a medical marijuana card anymore.
And from what I have heard, getting a medical marijuana card is ridiculously easy.
Well, and the data supports that, Branden. I mean, if you look at it, they did all these studies before Missouri got medical marijuana and said, hey, here are the number of people we actually think are going to go out and get a card. And it's like astronomically higher than what they had originally expected. And so the data showing how many people have actually applied for the cards is way higher than what they had originally predicted.
Whenever medical marijuana first became a thing, and I'm not kidding, I know this for a fact, there were in effect, vans set up in strip malls. And you climb into this van, and there's people on the show right now nodding their heads going, yep, Sure enough.
I mean, that's better than a gas station, Branden. It's not a gas station.
And what can you buy at a gas station? Booze. You can buy all the booze you want at a gas station, which, by the way, I always thought was kind of an odd thing anyway. If you're going, so in India, I used to live in Indiana. It used to be you could not go into a gas station in Indiana and buy beer. And I used to, why can't you buy beer at a gas station? And people would look at me like I was stupid. They're like, what are you at the gas station for? I'm getting gas. Well, you're driving. You don't need to be drinking. That's why we don't sell.
Oh, I hate those states that have a store that's like not in the grocery store. You have to go to a special store just to get liquor. It's so annoying. This is Missouri. You can get your liquor or beer at the gas station. You can drink it on the water. You can pick it up on the go sometimes.
In Idaho, their liquor stores, they're state run. So you have to go to a specific
it's the worst.
state-run store to get your booze.
I know I'm going to shock people in this room, but I would suggest that we might even want to go ahead with the 10 pickleball courts rather than the 6 that exist right now.
Pickleball? I understand.
What do you have against pickleball, Branden? The pickleball people are very serious, and you are going to set off. You're going to trigger them, and they're going to start something against you.
We had that guy on who was locally at the time 15th ranked pickleballer in the world. Stephanie Bell is back. That's Hannah, the producer. I am Branden Rathert. Daily DC Rundown coming up 6:26. What's in the Daily DC Rundown today, Steph?
Oh, well, the confirmation hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson start today. Let's talk about what is happening today and what will be happening the rest of the week.
That's coming up. Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle. Good morning.
Local opinion? We've got your back. Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
What Josh Hawley is doing when he tries to do this is he's trying to get her killed.
You know, I think it's an important point that you make. And first of all, yes, absolutely, you're right. Thank you for that.
Holly Mistal, MSNBC, Josh Hawley, by pointing out some things about Ketanji Brown Jackson, SCOTUS nominee, first black female SCOTUS nominee. Josh Hawley points out some things about her judicial record. He's trying to get her killed. And if anybody dares question anything on her record, you're being racists. That gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle.
There will be some questioning going on this week, but not really today. Today is for opening statements, so the judge will be allowed to give her opening statement, and then the 11 Democrats and 11 Republicans on the committee will also be allowed to give statements. The real questioning basically starts tomorrow. Each person on the committee will be given 30 minutes, and that includes Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, who did make some comments. His comments were related, basically saying that she was soft on pedophiles in her time at the U.S. Sentencing Commission, but that is supposed to be a kind of a point of contention. She was a public defender. She does come from kind of a criminal justice background, reform background, and so from the conservative perspective, there is it is expected that there will be some soft on crime allegations against her record.
But the Democrats are saying, hey, remember whenever we confirmed Justice Kavanaugh? Remember how nice and how much decorum we showed him? We're asking that you show the same, because if you dare try to ask her tough questions, you're being racist. So now Democrats all of a sudden saying these need to be, we need to show decorum in these.
So the hearings are expected to last 4 days, basically all week, and the Democrats are wanting to have her confirmed, which, it is expected will happen, but they are wanting to do that before Easter. Also, court news, Justice Thomas was hospitalized, I think this weekend. He had flu-like symptoms. He is expected to recover. There was some sort of statement basically saying, they expect him to be out of the hospital in a couple of days. And so a lot of folks on Twitter and socials saying, well wishes, hoping, he gets back in good health
And
soon.
isn't that weird how we word that out? Flu-like symptoms. Can't we just say cold-like symptoms? He had COVID-like symptoms, because they're all pretty much interchangeable when it comes to symptoms.
Yeah, and I assume if he actually had COVID, we would probably know that. Other interesting news, a lot of stuff being said about Mike Pence and him trying to distance himself from Trump, maybe looking at a 2024 run. And that's also what people are going to be eyeing in this judicial confirmation hearing, because on the Judiciary Committee, there's a bunch of folks who are, maybe going to be in that 2024 presidential race, and they're going to be on national television, with their conservative street cred out there, trying to show their stuff. So we'll be all eyes on that committee hearing this week.
I'm on TV. Here's some of these outlandish things I say. By the way, 7:10, we have some substantial polling from Missouri's 2022 U.S. Senate race. Coming up, we are going to meet 3rd Ward City Council candidate Roy Lovelady. He's here at 6:35. We're going to talk roll carts with him.
Stop by Club Car Wash today to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details at clubcarwash.com and find a location near you.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. Confirmation hearings begin today for the first black woman ever nominated to the Supreme Court.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will make her opening statement and begin to take questions about her judicial philosophy and legal record. Most agree the 51-year-old Harvard-trained lawyer who has served on the federal bench for the last 9 years is well qualified, but some are questioning her decisions and prior rulings, specifically in cases involving sex offenders.
Fox's Anita Vogel reports critics critics.
Insisting she took a lenient, soft-on-crime approach, and that while in law school, she had even suggested sex offender registries might be unconstitutional.
Meanwhile, the longest-serving member of the Supreme Court, Justice Clarence Thomas, expected to be released from the hospital in a day or so. The 73-year-old hospitalized with an infection Friday after experiencing flu-like symptoms. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31 right now. We do have partly cloudy skies in Columbia. We're expecting a high today of around 76. Rain on the way tonight. Low near 52. Good morning, everyone. Here are some of the stories that we are working on for you on this busy Monday morning. We'll begin with a grand jury indictment that came down late Friday afternoon. A trucker indicted for December's deadly I-70 crash that killed a fire chief. An assistant chief is now banned from operating a commercial motor vehicle.
64-year-old Kevin Brunson of Kansas City has been indicted by a Boone County grand jury for one count of involuntary manslaughter, a Class C felony. The early morning crash on I-70 just east of Columbia killed Boone County Fire Protection District Assistant Chief Bryant Gladney. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thanks. Judge Kevin Crane here in Boone County signed the court order banning Brunson from operating a commercial motor vehicle. Brunson's bond set at $250,000. Meantime, Boone County Sheriff's deputies say human remains discovered late Sunday afternoon in Rocky Fork are believed to be that of Angie Rice. Rocky Fork, a conservation area about 6 miles north of Columbia. 45-year-old Rice reported missing in December. Her vehicle located in the conservation area. Missouri lawmakers return to Jefferson City this afternoon. The House Committee, the Special Committee on Government Oversight, could take up a bill suspending Missouri's gas tax for 6 months. In a downtown Columbia parking garage, it's been the site of several suicides. Could be getting side window panels to cover the garage's open spots. That issue will be taken up tonight by Columbia's City Council. News brought to you by MidAmericaMortgage.us. Apply now for a loan on your dream home. Our news time, 6:33. Turning our attention now to sports. All eyes right now on the Mizzou men's basketball team. They have reportedly found a new leader in Cleveland State head coach Dennis Gates. That is a source confirming it to ABC 17 sports director Andrew Kaufman. There have been a number of reports basically saying the same thing. Gates spent 3 seasons in Cleveland, appearing in the NCAA tournament back in 2021. Not seeing anything yet in terms of UM Board of Curators meeting. Once we see that, we'll have a pretty good idea of what is going to happen. And eventually, after they get formal board approval, they'll usually have a press conference here in Columbia. But all that to be determined. One other quick note, a name from the past, O.J. Anderson. I know Branden remembers O.J. Anderson, University of Miami, and what a career. Big Red. He will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame, in May. O.J. Anderson. This is what he did against Tom Landry's doomsday Dallas defense, 1979.
Down at their own 23. Another running play to Anderson. Big hole. Across the 40 at midfield. Anderson at the 30. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. 76 yards for O.J. Anderson.
Dan Kelly there on the call from KMOX and the Big Red Twitter, and what a great call that was. O.J. Anderson to be inducted. Congratulations. Sports brought to you by Tiger Towing, 449-3754. It's 6:35. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people, MidmoHires.com. Roads are pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 874-9390, we're area code 573. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Looking like Trashville, let's get these carts on big wheels. Luda, roll cart, roll cart.
That's how big of a deal. Hey, listen, you know something?
We have.
You know something's a big deal whenever you're doing parody songs on it. Big thanks to my friend Cosmo over there at one of our sister stations, Y107. This song here that they did, that's 8 years old. Tells you how long we have been dealing with roll carts. It's going to be covered tonight's city council meeting. Maybe some more hope that they're going to get rid of the ordinance that bans roll carts, which was completely ridiculous in the first place. Then the challenge is it's going to go to voters again. One of the folks running to be on the city council, third ward city council candidate running against long-time incumbent Carl Scala, who he needs to go, in my opinion. I want to welcome Roy Lovelady into the show. Roy, I got to tell you, I've been watching you at some of these candidate forums. Man, I'm digging your style. You're kind of like this wild card. You're kind of like whatever, and I'm in it for fun. Yet you're very serious. What is that made you decide you want to run to be on the Columbia City Council?
What initially got me started, it was the fact that when I went to city council, because I was the leader of the protest, and we were trying to get the chokehold banned. And when I went to city council, the things that I was speaking to the council about, it seemed as if it was falling on mute ears. And when I continued to go for the past 20-something months, nobody up there looked like me. And so I've been through the struggle, and I wanted to make sure that somebody was on that council who looked like me, who could understand the struggles in which the lower poverty-stricken community had went through.
All right, so let me ask you this: you say nobody looks like you? You're black.
Yes,
is that? I mean, is it you're just going after black voters, or do you feel like you're getting appeal from everybody because everybody votes?
Yeah, so I'm going after all voters because I know that it's going to take everybody, and I understand the issues of the city because I've been going to city council, and issues that were happening at city councils was directly in my backyard.
All right.
So I feel that it's very important for the city to have, if the city of Columbia's population consists of at least 13%. So I think it would be important to have somebody represent that 13% as well. As
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but I think typically like 13 to 16% of the Columbia population is black. I want to ask you this, though. Roy Lovelady, third ward city council candidate running against the incumbent, Carl Scala. So you're saying I wanted to run because there's nobody that looks like me. Is there any part of that you also say because the guy who's been doing this for far too long, by the way, especially when it comes to city politics, and I hope voters in the third ward realize that it's just time for him to go. Is there anything that he's doing or that he has done on the council that you say, okay, besides nobody on the council looks like me, Clyde Ruffin is gone now, I don't like what Carl is doing. Are there issues that you have with how Carl has handled some issues in his numerous years on the city council?
So I'm new to city council, and I do understand that Carl has been there for a long time. And my goal is not to bash him, but I do also understand that I've met with him several times, and they haven't been the most pleasant meetings.
Okay.
So
well, the reason, here's why I'm laughing. I'm not asking you, by the way, Roy, I'm laughing because that's a pretty common theme when I've heard former supporters of Carl Scala. As a matter of fact, they've been public with it on Facebook. There's people I talk to within city leadership, and that's the same thing. He is a servant of the people, and that is another reason Carl Scala needs to absolutely, without a doubt, he needs to be kicked off the council, is because he has this arrogance. We were just saying this 20 minutes ago, that he has this arrogance about him, and people realize that he tries to talk. He should be on the Columbia. He's a perfect match for the Columbia Public School Board. Or hell, he could work in the Columbia Public School Administration with his communication. Perfect match there. By the way, and when I ask you, Roy, are there things that you disagree with what Carl's doing? I'm not asking you to trash talk him. Just things that policy that you would disagree with. So you said the meetings that you've had with him hadn't went well. Was this prior to you announcing that you were running for city council, or since you have been running for city council?
It was prior to me running for city council.
So was that perhaps some of the impetus for you saying, I want to run? Here's somebody, and I'm a constituent. I live in the 3rd Ward, and this guy, my elected servant, Mr. Carl Scully, is not repping me. Not only is he not repping me, he is flat out, by the way, which is a common thing I hear. He's just not listening to me. Was that part of the reason you said, we need somebody that will listen?
It was most definitely one of those reasons that I definitely ran. If I had to say one thing about Mr. Scala, is he definitely has the answer to the question before you ever ask the question. So he's like a know-it-all.
Would it be wrong for me to give a political candidate a round of applause on that answer? That is... You're nailing it. And I will say Carl Scott, who served in the military, did serve our country very valiantly. Roy Lovelady, he is running for 3rd Ward City Council candidate in Columbia.
Yeah, Branden, thanks so much. Mr. Lovelady, we appreciate you joining us. I want to ask you about the violence, because that's a big issue, obviously, across Columbia. But in the 3rd Ward itself, we've had the recent McKee Street homicide. There was a teenager. I know you're familiar with it. She was shot and killed, and she was sleeping in her own bed. It's been about a month ago, and 3 juvenile suspects have been taken into custody. We don't really know much about the suspects other than they are charged as juveniles, and unless they're charged as adults, we probably won't get much more about them because of, obviously, they're juveniles and that's state law. What is your approach? What would you do to try to prevent this violence from happening? Certainly on McKee, because this has happened before. We've had previous homicides there, but not just McKee Street, Mr. Lovelady, the other parts of the city as well.
Okay. So one of my biggest understandings is why crime is happening is because people lack resources. And from my understanding, when I was in survival mode, because I haven't always been a model citizen, when I was going through a struggle, I resorted to whatever I could to get out of survival mode. So one thing that I noticed about 3rd Ward, it doesn't have any resource hubs in it. So my church, I've been speaking with my church, and my church is planning on, I go to United Community Cathedral, and they're working towards opening a center. Also beefing up the parks, sidewalks. It's a lot of things that it takes in order to be comfortable and make your neighborhoods walkable and for you to feel like home. Resources, and I've also been talking to like community leaders throughout 3rd Ward. Not that I'm just primarily focused on blacks, but I know that a lot of leaders in 3rd Ward are wanting to dead the crime as well. So working on different programs and allowing different resources that are easily accessed in 3rd Wards, working towards getting people education and for it's just so many things that go into why crime is the way it is. So it's hard to say exactly what you can do, but just starting a plan to work towards those things is definitely something I'm working towards. And I'm really looking forward to my church, who is United Community Cathedral, opening a community center, which is for resources, after-school programs, a lot of things. And that will be directly in the center on 3rd Ward near Servin Lane and Whitegate, which is will have transportation from the Indian Hills area. It's just very important to also reach out to those Columbia police officers and get that community policing program, which they said that they were going to implement 2 years ago. And I think that it's high time that we work towards getting that community policing program implemented.
Roy Lovelady, I want to, if you can hang out here for a bit, because there's several things that I do want to ask you. You talk about there's various reasons for when you have rampant or a lot of crime, especially in certain parts of town. And I don't want to get into a big discussion here. Basically, a yes or no question. Do you think part of it? Because you said there's a lot of things. Do you think part of it is a generational thing? In other words, people grow up, this is the neighborhood they grow up, this is what they think is normal, this is what they, and I'm not faulting them, but it's what they learn, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And then the other thing, so one of the things that Carl Scala, your opponent and the longtime incumbent who needs to absolutely go, one of the things that he has talked about and brought up as in his words, a point of privilege. He has brought this up in city council meetings because, he likes to play tennis, and he's getting frustrated with the number of pickleball courts that are sprouting up in town.
I understand the popularity of pickleball.
So, Roy, I got to ask you, I think it's a fair question. Do you understand the popularity of pickleball? Because this is an issue for our current Third Ward City Councilman.
Well, I don't think popularity of pickleball is equally as important as crime and some of the other issues that we got going on.
Hey, you said you and I apparently have something in common. Like I said, I've been watching you at some of these candidate forums, and I don't know what it is, but I like your style, and Carl, in my mind, he just needs to go anyway, and I hope people in the Third Ward realize this. But you said you haven't always been a model citizen. You and I have something in common. Would you mind to hang out for just a few more minutes and talk about that a little bit? Then the reason I want to ask you about it, because here you are now, you're running for office, and I think you can be a source of inspiration for other people. Can you hang for a few minutes?
Yes, I can.
All right. We'll have more with Roy Lovelady, Third Ward City Council candidate, here on 93.9 The Eagle. And then I hope you'll stay with us coming up, 7:10. Stephanie and I have our hands on the first real substantial polling when it comes to that 2022 U.S. Senate race in Missouri. It is interesting. We're going to do that for you at 7:10 on 93.9 The Eagle. Let's wake up Columbia.
93.9 The Eagle presents Wake Up Columbia with this dude over here.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing up in here.
Whatever. 93.9 The Eagle.
And if we have the chance to change that, which we do with roll carts, then we should be doing it. We owe it to ourselves and to our planet to take this opportunity and roll with it.
Would you hand out a few points? That's a
yeah.
city council meeting, by the way. I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, because that's how long we've been dealing with this. Points?
Yes, points.
Points?
Definitely. So, Mr. Lovelady, you said you're newer to the city council, which maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need a fresh perspective on roll carts. The city's been having this debate for a long time. Apparently, it's back in the forefront. What's your position on roll carts?
So I'm not against roll carts. I definitely would support them if the community voted on them and said that's what they want. Now, I do understand the issues that it's expensive, having to buy new trucks, and they don't work in every neighborhood. So, but I think that the trash is going to take some type of hybrid situation. And I think that Columbia also, they had a report that came from staff that they did. They really need to focus on that because the answers are within that report.
Roy Lovelady, 3rd Ward City Council candidate, joining us this morning on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle, running against Carl Scala, who needs to just simply be, you can talk about political differences and all that. Obviously, people in his ward, they've been electing him for a very long time, and therein lies the problem. But I want to go back and the reason we're having Roy on the show is because I've been seeing him at some of these forums. I'm like, man, this guy's just kind of not a wild card, but just kind of like, hey, I'm going to do this. We've heard his story. He was going and he was advocating on some stuff and didn't like the response he was getting from his city councilman, which was Carl Scala, and didn't like some other things he saw and decided to run. You said you have, and one of the things you were talking about is like a potential for help in certain wards, whether it be a hand up, whether it be mental health issues. You said you have not always been a model citizen. I recognize some of that in myself. So what's a little bit of your story, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't mind. So it was in my youth. So I got straightened out pretty fast. But when I was in my youth, I came from a struggling home. Like my mom had 2 children with disability, and we were lacking a lot of things. So I found myself venturing down a lot of the wrong paths due to envy, due to strife, due to just like I didn't have. So I found myself fighting a lot. I found myself in positions where I was stealing in order to have what the people around me were having because we didn't have much money. And it was also that I found myself in front of a police officer in the back of a car where I realized, hey, this is exactly what my mom said was going to happen. And once it really made me take to heart what she was telling me from then on. And when she started saying, you need to go to school, you need to change, you need to do this, I started to believe her because everything that she had said previously was going to happen then happened. And so that was from my ages probably like 13 to 17, I started getting in trouble. But school, I never dropped school. I continued school afterwards, and I got my education, and I became more of a model citizen because from poverty to now, I'm starting to thrive.
And I'm serious, and even though, and nobody's ever going to agree on all issues politically, but I got to hand it to you because, my joke is I didn't drop out of high school. I just didn't go back one summer. I was having a really good summer and decided, I'm going to keep doing this instead of. Now, eventually is what I did. I took a GED test, and I got almost a perfect score. My score was high enough. I got scholarship money and then went to Southeast Missouri State. And then after some more challenges, even in my adult life, I encountered some self-imposed challenges that I have since overcome. So I admire the fact that you have been able to do that because I would think, so you have a story, and I think that's one of the reasons in my mind that makes you a better choice in that 3rd Ward race. Carl Scala does not know your experience, does not know that experience of a lot of people in the Third Ward. And I hope you get opportunities to share that experience. And I know in seeing these candidate forums, it's the same thing over homeless shelter, roll carts, crime. Where should ARPA money go? By the way, ARPA money should be going to the people that the city screwed over the past 2 years when they shut their businesses down. That's, in my opinion, where it should go, because COVID did not shut businesses down. It was city government officials. It was federal government officials that did it. I hope you get more opportunities to share your story. There's something there for you. Roy Lovelady, Third Ward City Council candidate. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go, sir?
No, thank you. But if they chose me, I am integral, I'm trustworthy, I'm dedicated, determined, and extremely dependable. So on April 5th, please vote for me.
All right. And God bless you for overcoming your challenges in life, Roy Lovelady. Very nice fellow. I like his story. I'm impressed with stories like that personally. All right, coming up, 7:10. By the way, apparently a passenger jet has gone down in China. Fox is on that here at 7 o'clock. Then coming up, 7:10, Stephanie brought back. She's gone for a week, and here's what she brought back. She brought back some pretty significant polling numbers from Missouri's U.S. Senate race for 2022. That's at 7:10.
The first black woman nominated to the Supreme Court will face Senate questions. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. President Biden's Supreme Court nominee goes before the Senate Judiciary Committee this morning. Fox's Anita Vogel has a preview.
Americans are going to get a very good look at the latest Supreme Court nominee and how she holds up under some expected tough questioning. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will make her opening statement and begin to take questions about her judicial philosophy and legal record. Most agree the 51-year-old Harvard-trained lawyer who has served on the federal bench for the last 9 years is well qualified, but some are questioning her decisions and prior rulings, specifically in cases involving sex offenders, insisting she took a lenient, soft-on-crime approach and that while in law school, she had even suggested sex offender registries might be unconstitutional.
The hearing set to begin at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Meanwhile, the nation's longest-serving sitting Supreme Court justice is in the hospital. Fox's Tanya J. Brown joins us live.
A statement from the Supreme Court says Justice Clarence Thomas is being treated with antibiotics and his symptoms are lessening after spending the weekend at Sibley Memorial Hospital in Washington, D.C. Thomas, who was 73, was hospitalized on Friday after experiencing flu-like symptoms, according to the statement, which was released yesterday. No explanation of the delay in that disclosure of the news was given, but the court said he could be released in the next couple of days.
And Tanya, Ukrainian officials are saying no to Russia, which is offering safe passage out of the city of Mariupol if Ukrainian forces lay down their arms and surrender. President Biden visits neighboring Poland this week and NATO headquarters in Brussels to talk strategy. America's listening to Fox News.
After 9/11, Saul Martinez couldn't wait to enlist. In Iraq, his vehicle was hit by a projectile improvised explosive device. Saul survived, but he lost both legs, suffered a traumatic brain injury, and lost 2 close friends. Saul now lives in a smart home from the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which gave him back his independence despite his severe physical challenges. Help heroes like Saul. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Near historically low mortgage rates may not last forever. If you're in the market for a new home or your dream home, go with a lender you can count on. For competitive rates, over 300 loan products, and thousands of loan consultants to help make sure you get the home and the mortgage that you want. Call now to see if you're pre-approved. 866-888-LOAN. 866-888-LOAN. Or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03, clear skies. It is 53 degrees in Columbia. On our way today to a high of around 76. Sunny today, showers tonight, low near 52. Tomorrow, more rain and a high of 65 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here are some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Boone County Sheriff's deputies say human remains found Sunday in the Rocky Fork Conservation Area north of Columbia are believed to be that of a missing woman, Angie Rice. ABC 17's Kennedy Miller from our news partner KMIZ reports from the conservation area.
Rice's vehicle was located in the parking lot of this area on December 31st. Police tell me numerous searches of the area have been conducted since Rice was reported missing. However, Rice's body was not located during those searches.
Kennedy Miller there reporting from the scene. Now, Rocky Forks is located about 6 miles north of Columbia. It's a very rugged area. It's near Finger Lakes. It is just off the Highway 63. Meantime, an arraignment date has not been set as of right now for that truck driver who is under indictment for manslaughter for the December I-70 crash that killed Boone County Fire District Assistant Chief Brian Gladney. 64-year-old Kevin Brunson indicted on 1 count of involuntary manslaughter on Friday afternoon. Jefferson City's longtime police chief did not retire this weekend as originally planned.
Jefferson City's longtime police chief will not retire Saturday as previously planned. Roger Schrader has led the department since 1999. City officials said Friday Schrader will now stay until the police department has found his replacement. Jefferson City still months away from hiring a new chief. Police chief job in the capital is a posted salary range of $90,000 to $135,000. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
Missouri lawmakers are returning to the State House in Jefferson City a little bit later this morning. They'll gavel in both chambers in the afternoon after their spring break. And one bill that could be taken up in committee this week involves gas prices, a one-time 6-month suspension of Missouri's gasoline tax. That could be heard by the House Government Committee on Oversight. St. Charles Republican Representative Adam Schwadron tells 93.9 The Eagle's Randy Tobler show that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is boosting gas prices, impacting motorists.
This would just be the state portion, the 19.5 cents. There is talk on the federal level. It's actually bipartisan talk where you've got 6 Democratic senators calling for the suspension of the federal gas tax through the end of the year.
Bill has been referred to the House Special Committee on Government Oversight. Schwadron is hopeful it'll get a hearing this week. Columbia City Council first reading a bill tonight. It'll repeal the city's prohibition on residential roll carts. They'll also first read a bill placing the issue on your August 2nd ballot. The city clerk, Sheila Amin, has certified the petition by Rachel Prophet has been signed by a sufficient number of registered voters. That means it should be on the August ballot. They'll discuss it tonight. Again, very important to note, this is a first read tonight and not a vote, both of those bills, although it will be discussed. Efforts to prevent self-harm and suicides at Columbia's tallest parking garage will be addressed by the council tonight. The council and the city completing a $489,000 project to install fencing the top level of the 5th and Walnut garage. The vote tonight on a bill to fund the installation of side window panels. And Columbia area residents have another dining option effective today. The second Culver's in Columbia, opening a little bit later this morning near heavily traveled Stadium in Bernadette, right across the street from Columbia Mall. They had a VIP event, a big one, over the weekend on Saturday morning for VIPs here in the area. Our news is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory can fill your Easter baskets with the tasty treats and delicious handmade chocolates. You can find out more, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, looks like Dennis Gates is going to be the new basketball coach for the University of Missouri. That is according to a number of reports over the weekend. ESPN has reported that. Andrew Kaufman, our news partner at ABC 17, also reporting his sources saying they found their new leader in Coach Gates, who spent 3 seasons in Cleveland. And several well-known people be inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame coming up in May. O.J. Anderson, Kurt Flood, Mark Burley, just to name a few going in to the, and Frank Cusimano, don't want to leave him out as well. Frank Cusimano, longtime broadcaster and radio broadcaster in St. Louis, will be inducted as well. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Betts. Betts Jewelers is in downtown Columbia. Our news time, 7:07. All right, John, thank you. And our weather brought to you by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 54 degrees. It is 7:08. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. The roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hunter Biden, this laptop that intelligence officials have warned is likely Russian disinformation.
I get pretty fired up about how this works because, look, I mean, if the New York Post tells you your mom loves you, you should check it out. We are not talking about fully reliable sources here.
Feels like a repeat from last cycle. It's the, but her emails again, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Featuring all the usual suspects. Hunter Biden, mysterious emails, Ukrainian businessmen, ...
That the New York Times now is saying, yeah, this a lot seems legitimate. That's some of the audio we've collected over the past 18 to 20 months of all these national news outlets. Oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Until the New York Times, as we know last week, said, yeah, there's something there. But now if you had a subscription to the New York Post, you would have known that a year and a half ago. But now the New York Times, and everybody went with what the New York Times, it's just Russian disinfo. We now know that that entire argument is on very thin ice right now. Biden in the past, because William Barr has talked about this. And I'll tell you this, we know right now William Barr, not necessarily a big fan of Trump right now. He's got his book. He's been out saying all kinds of things. By the way, do you know who William Barr said he would vote for president on the Republican side?
Who?
Donald Trump. He says he would vote for him as much. Yeah. Because, and see, that is the epitome. Here's a guy who's going to make a lot of money saying a lot of probably negative, some true things about Donald Trump. He's been all over the TV stations, the national news outlets, dissing Trump. And he was asked, who would you vote for? His answer, Donald J. Trump. Why? Because he is a good president. I think more and more people are seeing that, especially, and I don't like to do the previous guy, you know that. I don't do that here on the show. I've never done that. But people are seeing what we've been experiencing since January 20th of 2021, and they're like, this sucks. By the way, you know what the Republican National Committee did over the weekend? They are starting to do voter registrations at gas stations. Isn't that beautiful? That's slick. That is slick. They're going to gas stations, asking people. And see, I love this because this is what I always say. Just go and ask these people, do you like paying higher rent? Do you like paying higher energy? Do you like paying more for gasoline? Do you like the fact that Joe killed some of our service members in Afghanistan? Do you like that? No. Well, let's get you registered to vote and at least consider going a different route than how you have voted in the past. And that's what the Republican National Committee is doing. They're going to gas stations nationwide, and they're getting people registered to vote. So Joe Biden has even said he was towing the line that the New York Times said, oh, there's nothing there.
Every one of the major people who worked for Trump during the impeachment went under oath, and under oath said Biden did his job. No law was broke. This Biden did his job. Hunter Biden broke no laws. That was.
That's not what William Barr is saying.
As soon as this letter came out from these so-called intelligence specialists, the DNI, John Radcliffe at the time, and the FBI, which worked for me, both came out and said this was not the result of disinformation, Russian disinformation. The media ignored that completely, just kept on going with the disinformation line.
So this is the same guy, and context is important, who's been out. He's going to make millions of dollars dissing Trump. He's been on all the national news outlets dissing Trump, and here he's saying, yeah, no, we knew. We knew this. And the national news outlets, they absolutely ignored it. Welcome into the show. Stephanie Bell is back. We're so glad to have you here. We miss you when you're gone.
I am so glad to be back.
I'll bet. Vacation with the kids. When you come home, what do you need?
Another vacation.
Another vacation.
For sure.
I can imagine. Meanwhile, this is something we're going to be paying attention to this week. Big day in Washington, D.C. starting today.
Yeah, so the confirmation hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson start today. We should expect an opening statement by the judge and then opening statement by the committee members. And then the real questioning will begin tomorrow. That is expected, I believe, to last 2 days. And then I think on the final day, they basically let others come in and comment on her judicial record and do like character witness type testimony. And so the two really, the days to watch are going to be Tuesday and Wednesday.
And Democrats are saying, and we need to do like we did in the Kavanaugh hearings. We need to be civil and show decorum. All of a sudden now they went. And here's the thing, and we're seeing it already. Elie Mystal on MSNBC saying comments made by Josh Hawley last week. Josh Hawley is trying to get Ketanji Brown Jackson killed. But anybody who is going to do some stern questioning, as you should, this is a lifetime appointment. You should get some stern questioning. Some thorough questioning might be a better way to phrase that. They're going to be accused of being racist. Oh, you're asking her tough questions because either it's a chick or because she's black. And they're going to get frustrated because it's racist, it's sexist. How dare you ask her a tough question during National Women's Celebration Month, Women's Appreciation Month. They're in a no-win situation. You ask a tough question, you're racist or you're sexist. That's how it's going to go down, in my opinion. These comments, people pushing back against comments that our U.S. Senator, one of our U.S. Senators, Josh Hawley, by the way, we have Stephanie and I brought back some poll numbers while she was on vacation. First substantial polling for that 2022 U.S. Senate race here out of Missouri, gaining nationwide attention. We have those. But first, want to highlight, draw your attention to the comments made by Josh Hawley last week.
As a member of the U.S. Sentencing Commission, she voted to get rid of the mandatory minimum sentences for child porn. So this is a long pattern. It stretches over many years, and we need to get answers on this.
So yesterday, Senator from Illinois, Dick Durbin, He's on with George Stephanopoulos, and he said, well, Josh is taking that out of characterization, and there have been some independent fact checks into those claims.
Well, I'm not sure what it signals, but as far as Senator Hawley is concerned, here's the bottom line. He's wrong. He's inaccurate and unfair in his analysis. Judge Jackson has been scrutinized more than any person I can think of. This is her 4th time before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and 3 previous times she came through with flying colors and bipartisan support, the last time as soon as just last year. And now Senator Hawley is making these charges that came out of nowhere. The independent fact checkers like the Washington Post and CNN.
Independent fact checkers like the Washington Post and CNN. No.
I mean, I think that it's interesting because there's been very few justices on the court that come from a public defender background. I think Thurgood Marshall was the last one, right? And so she has a different background than what a lot of folks on the court have had. So that will make the, I think, hearing slightly different. But the criminal justice issue, it is a really fascinating one right now. And we talked, when Jennifer Bukowski was here, we went to CPAC. CPAC focused on criminal justice reform. And it's not necessarily an issue that kind of breaks down D&R. There are a lot of Republicans, conservatives kind of working in that criminal justice reform space, and, who think that, one mistake in your past, isn't reason to ruin the rest of your life. And so, I think that interplay and how we see that come out in the hearing is a struggle that the entire party is having on that issue right now. And so, Hawley's criticisms of mandatory minimums, and I haven't done the research, I don't know, but, it's something that is important in the conversation of what a judge, has done in their past. I think that's fair play. I think that's fair game to ask about those things. But, how other conservatives deal with those issues, I think it's a larger struggle that we're having right now. And then the other thing to watch is, there are several people on that committee who are in the potential for the 2024 presidential race. It's going to be a huge high-profile week for those folks. They are, they know the importance of this and what it could mean for their political future. I think some of them will be using this airtime for, a little bit of grandstanding, perhaps. So there'll be eyes on them as well.
If they had cameras behind the scenes, like before the TV cameras turn on, they're the ones that you'd be watching them. They'd be doing making sure they look, checking their makeup, fixing their hair in front of the camera for the TV. Those are the ones who would be doing that. So that's one of the big things that's going to be happening this week. Be interesting to see how that goes. Do some pole dancing. Stephanie has brought back some of the most substantial polling that we have seen as it relates to the 2022 U.S. Senate race out of Missouri. This is getting, obviously, a lot of national attention. So, basically, a couple of different things happened here. Trafalgar Group took basically the top 3 runners on the GOP side. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, Attorney General Eric Schmidt, and former governor and former Democrat Eric Greitens. And they ran them against the 2 front runners in the Democratic race, Kuntz and Sifton. Lucas Kuntz, Scott Sifton. Here's how it shaped up.
So Hartzler does the best. She beats Sifton by 20. She beats Kuntz by 17. Schmidt's not far behind, beating both of them by 14 and 15. The real crazy part is, and I think a lot of conservatives expected this, if Greitens is the nominee, he basically puts us in a dead heat with the Democrats.
Dead heat and within the margin of error, potential loss for conservatives in Missouri, according to this polling. For what polling is worth, I always think it's worth looking at, because this is what I think all smart people have been saying. Listen, this is how it's going to play out, and we're looking at polling numbers. And that's how it's playing out right now.
Well, and I'm not sure that people fully understand what putting Missouri in a contested place means, because it also affects other races. Because you think there's a limited amount of money, there's money going into these races. There's resources that are needed, people and money for these races, and Missouri is not expected to be, or wasn't expected to be a contested race. So if suddenly, national folks are having to dump people and resources into Missouri, that's another race in a potentially other state that we're affecting, because now they're having to concentrate on Missouri when it should have been in the bag for us.
Exactly, and that's the thing with the party when you're talking about party money. So we'll keep that. Oh, by the way, you want to hear the latest Biden approval, job approval? They're the same, if not worse, universally. by the way, universally, and I mean universally across all polls and universally across most all political persuasions. There's a lot of regret. So if you're one of those, let's say you're listening right now to 93.9 The Eagle, you're listening to Wake Up Columbia. I am Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer, is here, and you voted for Biden. I'm not chastising you, is what I'm saying is welcome aboard. Glad you could be here, man.
But also chastising a little bit.
Coming up 7:25-ish, we are going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah. Also coming up 8:10 this morning, Shane Roden. And this is one of those topics, Stephanie, you're just referring to, criminal justice reform. Something that a lot of people from, again, a lot of different political spectrums are saying, yeah, we should take a look at this. There is some agreement. Same thing when it comes to recreational marijuana, but it's kind of, there's a lot of agreement, a lot of universal agreement, but it's for different reasons. NAACP, they're in favor of legalizing recreational weed because it affects black people disproportionately, and more black people go to jail because of it. In their mind, they're not saying, well, because more people get caught with it. That's all. And then you have a lot of folks that are just like, let me choose. Okay, I should have that choice. So there's a lot of people, universal acceptance, I think, for recreational weed, but for different reasons. Matter of fact, Jefferson County State Rep Shane Roden, he's going to be joining us coming up 8:10 this morning, because there are some folks that are not necessarily on board with recreational marijuana. Apparently one of the big groups not in favor of it, the folks from Medicinal marijuana. Coming up, What's Hot with Hannah? What do you have for us today?
You know, you guys make fun of me when I talk about punctuation in text messages, but what about the acronyms and abbreviations that we always use?
LOL.
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Inspired and on fire. 93.9 The Eagle.
All right. Branden, how are you? Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, Joe. Yep, we're here. Sorry, I was distracted doing other things. Sorry about that, Joe. Welcome.
What the heck?
Sorry, Joe. Joe's keeping tabs on us now. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. I am Branden Rathert. Stephanie Bell is back. There is Hannah, the producer. Brian Hauswirth is joining us, too, by the way. Looks like Mizzou might have a new basketball coach. It's kind of interesting, because... And I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but you always want to go after a big-name coach or a coach with some name recognition. And sometimes you find kind of a diamond in the rough. And I think Gary Pinkel, for example, nobody heard the name Gary Pinkel before he came to the Mizzou football program, and look at what he's done. Brian will have more on this coaching search, and it looks like it's all just about a done deal. He's going to have some more on that coming up here at 7:35 on 93.9 The Eagle. Right now it's 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
So you kind of stole my thunder earlier when I mentioned texting and abbreviations, and you said LOL. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure you're real sorry.
Well, but I came up with a new one, TCUN. That's coming up next.
Yeah, let me know when that catches on because I'm not feeling real confident. But no, we've talked before about how, punctuation in text messages can sometimes sound a little passive-aggressive to the reader, right? That's a very generational thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes periods can be passive-aggressive in a text message.
Some people get triggered when they see a period at the end of a sentence.
Or if you text just a single question mark.
Oh, yep.
Stephanie Bell.
But So Vice wrote a very long article about LOL and how, of course, it stands for...
Laugh.
Out.
Loud.
I was waiting to see if Branden actually knew what it stood for. Yeah, so it stands for Laugh Out Loud, and over the years, we've kind of just used it to, let people know, hey, we're not being a jerk, or, hey, this is a lighthearted text message, but a lot of times when we're typing LOL, we're not actually laughing. We've strayed from the original purpose, and I just hadn't really thought about that.
I'd have to think about that the next time I send a text, because actually I don't think I ever use LOL ever, because it's too girly for me.
I use ha 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 ha.
I do that, or a smiley face. I do that. I'm a fan of the emojis, the smiley faces in front. I like that because you can convey a little bit of what you're trying.
To me, emojis are girlier than LOL, but whatever.
But now you just text the skull, right? I'm dead means that's super funny.
He's not there yet.
Okay.
And I like that, again, autocorrect. Somebody sent me a text complaining about potholes in town, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll contact my pothole guy, except it came out, I'll contact my pothead guy to see what I can do for you. ABC 17 storm track forecast, sunshine 76 today, showers at least up through Wednesday, and temps going to be cooling down right now, 55. Stop by Club Car Wash, get an unlimited membership, $20 a month. More details, clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. President Biden has added a stop in Poland to his trip this week to Europe for talks with NATO and European allies on the crisis in Ukraine.
For what could be the most important foreign trip he's had since taking office, Press Secretary Jen Psaki did put out a tweet writing, the trip will be focused on continuing to rally the world in support of the Ukrainian people and against President Putin's invasion of Ukraine, but there are no plans to travel into Ukraine.
Fox's Mark Meredith. This is Ukrainians continue defying Moscow.
The Russian Defense Ministry offered an escape for the people who have been really tortured in the town of Mariupol, but their deal was that the Ukrainian fighters had to lay down their arms and surrender. That deal was flatly rejected.
Fox's Mike Tobin. And the price of oil continues to surge, with crude up about $4 a barrel. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:31 right now. We do have sunshine, 53 Our current temperature here in Columbia, it's 52 degrees. In Jefferson City, going to be sunny. Today's high 76 with rain in the forecast tonight. Low near 52, and then rain Tuesday into Wednesday as well. Good morning, everyone. A bloody sweatshirt could be a key piece of evidence in April's murder trial involving Columbia's Jeffrey McWilliams. He was featured on the Food Network back in 2019. Jeffrey McWilliams, I should say, is charged with second-degree murder and robbery for the drug-related killing back in 2017 of Augustus Roberts. Boone County Sheriff's deputies say human remains discovered late Sunday afternoon in Rocky Fork are believed to be that of Angie Rice. The 45-year-old Rice was reported missing back in December. Her vehicle located in the conservation area. Human remains found yesterday. Investigation into that death continues. A bill providing community memberships to MACC's new state-of-the-art lab on the Business Loop will be voted on tonight by Columbia City Council. Bill is being pushed by the mayor of Columbia, Brian Treese, who tells 93.9 The Eagle that improving job skills is crucial as we pull out of the pandemic.
I mean, think about if you were downsized, or maybe just part of that great quit, where you want to go do something else for a change. This is a way that you can scale up. You can take that step with a 3D printer. Maybe you want to invent something.
It's Mayor Treese. In a downtown Columbia parking garage, it's been the site of several suicides. Could soon be getting side window panels to cover the garage's open spots. Columbia Council is scheduled to vote on that $500,000 project coming up at their meeting tonight. News brought to you by WillettDentalAssociates.com. Our news time, 7:33. Turning our attention now to sports. Jarrett Sutton. If you're a Mizzou basketball fan, you might want to take a look at Jarrett Sutton's Twitter, because he's basically saying, former player, give Dennis Gates some time. Give him a chance. He had that over the weekend, and I've heard a lot of feedback on that tweet. It does certainly appear that Dennis Gates, a coach at Cleveland State, is going to be the next coach of the University of Missouri. It's been reported by a number of outlets, including Andrew Kaufman, our news partner over at ABC 17. His source confirming that on Saturday, Gates spending 3 seasons in Cleveland, appearing in the NCAA tournament in 2021. And a couple of people well-known be inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame coming up in May. Mark Burley among them, Kurt Flood, and O.J. Anderson.
Gillian, gray to the left side. Now here is Hart giving off to Anderson on a reverse play at the 15, at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, O.J. Anderson.
That's Dan Kelly there on the call, KMOX and Big Red Twitter. We thank them for that audio. First 6 seasons at St. Louis for the Big Red. OJ rushing for more than 1,000 yards in 5 seasons. The only exception, the strike-shortened year in 1982. Weather also, sports brought to you by Willett Dental Associates, 734. And our traffic check is presented by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. The roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri on this Monday morning. You're certainly going to need an umbrella, and it looks like this is going to be an on and off again system. I'm not seeing anything severe, at least right now, no severe threat, although we could get some thunderstorms next couple of days. Rain tonight all the way through Thursday. Roads right now, though, pretty quiet. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Current spike in gas prices is largely the fault of Vladimir Putin.
Putin's tax. That's really Putin's gas hike.
Are you guys just going to start blaming Putin for everything?
Putin's price hikes at the pump. Putin's price hike here at home. People are feeling it. They're feeling it. Do you ever think you'd be paying this much for a gallon of gas?
I think this is, by the way, I want to explain why this is solely at the feet of Biden for these gas prices. And I also want to go back. I want to back up for just a second here.
Current spike in gas prices.
Yeah, that's accurate. Current spike in gas prices. Current. What about the spike in gas prices following January 20th, 2021? What about that? Well, it's your policies. And here's why people say, well, the president, listen, whoever's in charge, they take the blame. They also take the credit, no matter who the president, no matter what the issue is. That's the way it goes. When you're the guy in charge, you're in charge. You take the blame. You take the credit. But here is how we directly link Biden to these gas prices that's happening right now. Because of his ineffectual leadership, because he looks feeble and weak-minded on the worldwide stage, and because we as a country now, we don't have strong standing anymore. That's why Russia feels emboldened to go in Ukraine. The timing is right because Joe's in office. That's how, and you tell people, if this comes up in conversation, you get somebody, well, the gas prices, it's not Joe Biden's fault. It absolutely is Joe Biden's fault. And you tell them why. Number one, you tell them all gas prices had been going up since the day he got into office, and you can go double-check my work. You don't have to rely on everything I'm saying. And then the other thing you say is, yes, Biden is responsible, and here's why. Because we look weak. Over a year ago, China said to our faces, remember this?
Yeah.
To our faces. You're not coming at us from a position of strength. So if somebody gives you the BS argument, well, the gas prices, it's not Joe Biden's fault, you can explain politely, well, it is, and here's how. Because Russia's invading Ukraine, they're doing that because we look weak. Hannah brought up a really good point. I think I was saying over the weekend, we were hanging out at the Man. By the way, can we give a big round of applause to everybody coming out to the Como Man Show this year? I had a blast. I love the Como Man Show. But we were talking, hey, did you see gas is down to $3.89 a gallon? And Hannah looks at it, and I thought she was going to slap me in the back of the head because
I would never.
Usually I live in moments of clarity. I was lacking clarity at that time because I try to be positive, and sometimes to a fault, and I admit that. But Hannah was exactly right. I'm like, hey, gas is down to $3.89 a gallon. It was at $4.01, $4.03 the other day up here, one of my gas stations. Here I'm grateful because gas is now only up $1.79 since Joe took. I'm grateful. Oh, it's only up $1.79 since January 20th.
Listen, I was so excited when it went back down to $3.89.
Exactly, and we were coming back home, cruising through Illinois, and our light comes on, our gas light comes on, and Chris is like, I am not stopping in Illinois. I do not know what is happening in this state, but we are not paying. Their prices are even higher than ours, so we were really thankful to be back in Missouri.
I know, that's what kills me. As much as we've been griping about, gas prices, didn't you say that we were one of the lowest state averages? That's crazy.
For fun, if you want to look at red blue maps and compare that with gasoline prices, Illinois, guess what color Illinois is? Blue. And you will find a consistent thing. So, and I say that not to pick. I'm not trying to pick at Democrats. And I think this is one of the things that we should do is draw people who are in the middle, people who are independent, or people that regret how they have voted in the past when it comes to Democrat policies. We show them. You say, see, look, and show them a red-blue map. See, look, just to give you an idea of what's going on here, and you show them the map and say, see, some of the states with the highest gasoline prices, see what's going on there? They're run by, it's a blue state. And you might get some people, well, that's got nothing to do with it because oil policy is set. Listen, it all has everything to do with it. It absolutely does because of that leadership. Or as we're seeing nationwide and worldwide right now in Europe, Zelensky saying we might be on the verge of World War III. It's because this guy right now is in office. So welcome is what we're saying. Not picking, just try this way for a while.
You can imagine my excitement this weekend when I was out and about and saw gas for $3.79.
Whoa!
Right by my house. I about drove the car off the side of the road.
By the way, I feel in chatting with some local business owners at the Como Man Show over the weekend, I complain. I've had to go back and forth to Hannibal twice in the past week, and plus I've had to borrow 2 different vehicles. One of my vehicle was in the shop, and I'm dealing with. So I'm filling up a Dodge Ram diesel. I'm filling up another friend's car to use their. My goodness, these business owners, people that rely on fuel, people that do delivery services, whatever it is, they're doing construction workers that are driving to and from the job sites every day.
Truck drivers.
Really, it hurts. It hurts. I feel bad for these people, and I'm complaining at what I'm having to pay. But I'm getting my 2.5 cents per gallon back at the end of the year.
Now, there is a bill, you heard it in the news, that would suspend Missouri's portion of the gasoline tax, which is 19.5 cents right now.
And this is separate of what Sarah Walsh is trying to do.
That's right, exactly. This would be a 1-month, one-time suspension for 6 months of the state. And as Representative Schwadron pointed out to Randy Tobler and me, there are some bills in Congress, including 6 Democratic senators, that would propose getting rid of the federal gas tax, at least temporarily. It wouldn't be permanent. But whether or not either one of those go through remains to be seen. Schwadron's bill will likely go before the Government Oversight Committee this week.
Illinois. That's what it's called. This is according to Tom. The state is called Illinois. I like that. I'd not heard that one. Gene checking in. My brother in Chicago paying $4.89 a gallon for gasoline. And there's some people, what was it? Forbes came out with an article over the weekend and said, you know, this is affecting a lot of people. It's affecting people who make $300,000 a year and less. And here's some things you can do to save money. Take public transit. And instead of eating meat, eat lentils.
Gross. Have you ever eaten lentils? No, thank you.
Man. Welcome into the show. Stephanie Bell is back. How was your time off? What'd you do?
We went to Disney.
Oh, my goodness.
It was awesome. I haven't been since I was a kid, so getting to take my 3 kids. It was a zoo. You know, I heard that all the Disney bloggers are saying that, you know, it was like spring break city, so there were just so many people there. We went to 4 parks. We got to the parks before they opened for what I've learned is called like the rope drop. So like it was still dark. We left most days when it was dark. I think I did about 20,000 steps 3 days in a row. I think we rode every ride there was to ride. It was cool though. The attention to detail that Disney puts into everything. We were talking off air. I was telling Branden this, just like there were rides and you could feel the heat, and they did like a water spray and they did a smell. And so that is so creative and inspiring. And you just think about, you know, Walt Disney being from Marceline and being from Missouri, and just like his mind and how just the whole experience, what a wonderful business and person he was. It's incredible to be there and feel that.
So it touches some of the rides and things there. It touches all the senses. It's pretty magnificent. I've never been to Disney, and I lived in Florida for 6 or 7 years. Never been to Disney.
Yeah, I've been to, luckily for me, I've been to both. The one out in California, which is pretty nice, but the one in Florida, there actually are, I don't know if they're still there, but there actually were, and I'm sure they're still there, some resemblances of Marceline itself. They actually have the kind of little town set up. Dan Veets, you guys know Dan Veets, the marijuana attorney. He is written and prominent attorney here in town, but well known for his
he's been on the show for a while. Yeah. Is he without a license right now?
That I don't know that. But
I thought somebody, and I hope, but I thought somebody had their license suspended.
I'm not sure if that was.
I don't know.
That I don't know, but he has written several books and pointed out that ideally Walt Disney had been able to, he got sick and passed away, but he was going to build a large theme park up in Marceline that would have transformed North Missouri. He also wanted to build one, and Dan would be good to get on. He's written these extensive books. He also wanted to build one down near the St. Louis riverfront, and the word is that the brewery down there wanted him to sell beer. The bottom line, that never got off the ground. But the one up in Marceline would have been huge up there in, that'd be Lynn County.
Well, and you just have to appreciate, I mean, the scope and size of those parks and how it all just works and runs, and there's an app, and no ride broke down when I was on it. Nothing was dirty. The trash, I mean, if we needed someone to solve the Columbia's trash problem, Disney could do it. I mean, you could take the various forms of transportation, the park was clean, just everything, the food, I mean, the way that they manage so many people in so many different things, and the quickness of the rides, I can't even, it's incredible. It's a feat. And if Disney managed more things, it's like being a Chick-fil-A, right? If they managed more things, we would be in a better place.
Well, and some of that attention to detail that you were talking about, Disney has even created like a certain shade of like a blue hue to paint buildings that they want to blend into the skyline so that they're not as obvious to the human eye.
When my dad and his wife had a home built south of St. Louis 30 years ago, and my stepmom was adamant about having these blue shutters on the house. And they go to the first homeowners association meeting, and somebody says, "And what are we going to do about the new folks that have those Disney blue shutters on their house?" Well, my dad and his wife were there, and they said, "That's our house." Those Disney blue shutters are no longer on that house.
Wow.
By the way, I did check. Dan Vietz, Columbia lawyer and marijuana legalization advocate, will have his law license suspended for 6 months for violating Missouri Supreme Court rules against conflicts of interest. He had to pay like $1,000 fee. That was the story based in October. Wanted to make sure I clarified that so I wasn't. Did Branden Rathert say some attorney was suspended? I want to be very careful when I tread where I'm talking about attorneys. Coming up at 8:10, speaking of weed.
What a transition.
Speaking of weed. So it seems like there's universal support for recreational weed. Even people that would never imbibe or partake in weed, they're like, yeah, but if you want to, you should. A lot of people, and I would be one of those because I have experience with both of these.
High people are generally nicer than drunk people. I'm just going to say that.
And it's...
They are. They just are a little bit hungry.
A little bit more chillax, man. But there's fewer side effects with marijuana than there is with booze, fewer physical side effects, and that is a fact, by the way. I'm not a doctor, but I'm speaking from experience. You can look this stuff up. So there's a lot of folks that are on board with legalized recreational marijuana, except for one big organization. We're going to find out who that is with Jefferson County State Rep Shane Roden. He's going to be joining us at 8:10 here on 93.9 The Eagle.
Are we approaching the point where we are past the pandemic phase and you'll go get some rest?
George Stephanopoulos, ABC, talking to Dr. Fauci yesterday. Are you thinking about retiring? How did Fauci answer that? That's coming up, 7:53. Of what kind of maintenance I should be doing. So those are all reasons to love them. I think it's important too to mention they are small, local business. When somebody's doing repairs on your car, I think that's important too because they live here. To me, it's just kind of a big deal. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. They're on Vandiver and Columbia, and they're in Boonville.
Thanks for making Wake Up Columbia your favorite morning show. 93.9 The Eagle.
At least I had the balls to stand up for women and girls in sports. And, of course, that went viral.
That's Caitlyn Jenner, which is especially humorous because I guess Caitlyn Jenner really doesn't have any balls anymore. Talking about this swimmer, Leah Thomas, over the weekend, Virginia Tech. He finished 17th place in some of the races. I think he won some, and others he lost. And it was interesting to watch whenever they did the awards, the swimmers, the actual female swimmers, distancing themselves from this guy who pretends that he is a chick. And here's where I get frustrated. Again, here's another point of, I'm all about messaging right now. As a matter of fact, coming up, we aren't doing it. It's the local pachyderm groups are doing it. Big event coming up. Boone County Lincoln Days are coming up Friday, April right after that Tuesday election, whatever day that is. The 8th. And I guess you can get online, check out Boone County Lincoln Days. Tickets are available. All the big players in local politics, they're going to be there. Stephanie will not be there.
Probably not.
Hannah will be there.
Brandon's
emceeing. I'll be there. Laura Nauser, remember Laura Nauser from the show? Saw her yesterday. She's going to be there. She emceed last year. So it's one of those opportunities. We talk about getting involved. Going to the Boone County Lincoln Day event is a way to get involved because you're with a bunch of people that have the same mindset. You're hearing from the politicians themselves. You're not hearing what Caleb Roden or Cherie Tolson-Reich says filtered through me. Mark McCloskey will be at this event, running for Senate. So I hope you get a chance to go. Tickets online just for the Boone County Lincoln Days event. But I think it's interesting. So here's the messaging. People saying, oh, my God, you're against transgenders. No, it's not it. I want fairness for women in sports. That's all. Just fairness. That's what it is. But they take the argument, they twist it, really reverse what it is. The national news outlets, most of them, they pick it up and they run. Yeah, you're biased against transgenders. You're biased against people who think they're a certain gender when they're really not. No, we're not biased. Number one. We're just for fairness in the girls that are already playing these sports. I'm not saying transgenders shouldn't play sports. Put them where it's appropriate. Because we've been doing that. That's wrong to separate. Listen, we've been separating athletes for years. There's nothing wrong with that. And I hope nobody feels bad because you just hate transgenders. No, that's not it at all. And it's got really nothing to do with transgenders. Is what it has to do with is fairness in sports. That's what it has to do with. So I love that happened. By the way, Babylon Bee got kicked off of Twitter over the weekend.
Yeah, over a tweet naming Rachel Levine Man of the Year.
So Rachel Levine is somebody in the administration, Biden's administration, is a dude. His name is Richard Levine. So Babylon Bee says, hey, we're going to name Rachel Levine as Man of the Year. Twitter, who, by the way, kicked the New York Post off of Twitter whenever they started reporting accurately on Hunter Biden's laptop almost 2 years ago. They kicked them off. New York Times now reporting just a few days ago, yeah, that stuff is accurate. Guess what? Twitter didn't kick off the New York Times off of Twitter, but this guy, Babylon Bee, gets kicked off of Twitter.
Yeah, and not even just like a suspension. I mean, they're like locked out of their account, and Twitter is citing its rules against, quote, hateful conduct. That's why they're kicked off.
They're saying this person has been named our Man of the Year. How is that hateful? All right. Stephanopoulos yesterday talking to Dr. Anthony Fauci. This guy we haven't heard from in a while.
Are we approaching the point where we are past the pandemic phase and you'll go get some rest?
In other words, are you going to retire? That's all you need to know. Basically, the answer on his part right now is no. Rec weed versus medical weed. That's coming up at 8:10 with Jefferson County State Rep Shane Roden on 93.9 The Eagle.
A Russian ultimatum. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. Ukraine is saying niet to the stark choice Russia is giving people in the heavily bombarded city of Mariupol. Fox's Danya J. Powers with more.
Russia has demanded the Ukrainians lay down arms and raise white flags, giving up the port city of Mariupol in exchange for safe passage out. But the answer from Ukraine has continued to be no. Mariupol has been under attack for 3 weeks and is key. Its fall would allow Russian forces in southern and eastern Ukraine to unite. Airstrikes hit an art school there where about 400 people were sheltering just hours before Russia offered to open 2 corridors out of the city in return for the surrender. It's not clear how many survived. Mariupol's mayor didn't wait for the morning deadline given by Moscow, dismissing the offer in a Facebook post and cursing at the Russians. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
President Biden packs his bags later this week for a trip to Europe. He will visit Poland, which shares a border with Ukraine, and he travels to NATO headquarters in Brussels to strategize for helping Ukraine defend itself. U.S. diplomats are also focused on Iran as they negotiate to revive the 2015 nuclear deal with that nation. It would ease sanctions, and Florida Republican Representative Kat Cammack says and tells Fox and Friends that could destabilize the Middle East.
This is going to absolutely put a surge of money into Iran, which then will amp up the terrorist attacks around the world.
Supporters of the Iran nuclear deal say it's the best way of preventing that nation from developing nuclear weapons. Confirmation hearings begin this morning for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. She is the first black woman nominated to the Supreme Court. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell has promised the judge a fair hearing. America's listening to Fox News.
On 9/11, 2,977 people were killed in terrorist attacks on American soil. And the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been supporting America's heroes and their families ever since. Our nation's heroes, people who put their lives on the line for our country and our communities, need your help. Join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good in their honor. Donate $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historically low rates combined with rising home values means that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about our smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03 right now. We do have bright sunshine in Columbia. It's 55 degrees already. Going to be a beautiful day today. Get out and enjoy it because it's going to be rainy for most of this week after today. Our high 76 today. Rain moving in tonight with a low near 52, and then rain all the way through Thursday. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you on this Monday morning. A trucker indicted for December's deadly I-70 crash that killed a Boone County Fire Assistant Chief is now banned from operating a commercial motor vehicle.
64-year-old Kevin Brunson of Kansas City has been indicted by a Boone County grand jury for one count of involuntary manslaughter, a Class C felony. The early morning crash on I-70 just east of Columbia killed Boone County Fire Protection District Assistant Chief Bryant Gladney. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thanks. Boone County Circuit Judge Kevin Crane signing that court order that bans Brunson from operating a truck. The bond for Brunson is set this morning at $250,000. It appears right now that he is not in custody. Meantime, Boone County Sheriff's deputies say human remains discovered late Sunday afternoon in the Rocky Fork Conservation Area are believed to be that of Angie Rice. The 45-year-old Rice reported missing in December. Her vehicle located in the conservation area. The investigation into her disappearance and death is continuing this morning, and there will be an autopsy by the Boone County Medical Examiner's Office. Legislation creating a one-time 6-month suspension of Missouri's gas tax could be heard this week by a House committee in Jefferson City. Lawmakers heading back to the capital city this morning. They'll gavel in this afternoon after their spring break. St. Charles Republican Representative Adam Schwadron tells 93.9 The Eagles' Randy Tobler Show that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is boosting gas prices, impacting hardworking Americans who have to get to work.
This would just be the state portion, the 19.5 cents. There is talk on the federal level. It's actually bipartisan talk where you've got 6 Democratic senators calling for the suspension of the federal gas tax through the end of the year.
He's talked to the House Speaker Rob Vescovo and his staff about the bill. I've linked to it. It's a one-sentence bill. You can read it in its entirety along with this story, 939theeagle.com. Columbia City Council will be first reading a bill tonight. It repeals the city's prohibition on residential roll cards. They'll also first read a bill that would place the issue on your August 2nd ballot here in Columbia. City Clerk Sheila Mean says the petition organizer, Rachel Prophet, has collected enough signatures to place the issue on the August ballot. They needed at least 20% of those who voted in the 2019 mayoral election, and they have those, according to Ms. Amin. A bill providing community memberships to Moberly Area Community College's new state-of-the-art lab on the Business Loop will be voted on by Columbia City Council tonight. The bill is being pushed by the mayor of Columbia, Brian Treese, who says it's important for improving job skills and also important for the community.
So that everybody in Columbia has access to a membership here at this Mac Lab Makerspace so that they can take that next step.
Bill also contains $300,000 to provide customized training to Columbia employers in the next 4 years. And Columbia's second Culver's is opening later this morning near heavily traveled stadium in Bernadette. City Council approved the project that involved tearing down an old Ruby Tuesday. I have a picture of the new restaurant on our website, 939theeagle.com. They had a VIP event over the weekend. News brought to you by the Callaway Bank. It's with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:06. Turning our attention now to sports. Mizzou men's basketball team has found its new leader in Cleveland State head coach Dennis Gates. That is according to ABC 17's Andrew Kaufman, our news partner. Gates, spending 3 seasons in Cleveland, went to the NCAA tournament back in 2021. And again, it looks like he will be. They're out of the Horizon League. Cleveland State, they are the Vikings in the Horizon League. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. John, thanks so much. Great job on television this morning as well. Our weather brought to you by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. Sunny 55. It's 8:08. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Roads are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage at 8:30. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
We have extreme problems with retaining our sanitation workers. We're asking them to do very hard and difficult work that often involves injuries. The city has paid out quite a lot for that.
Hundreds of thousands of municipalities across the United States use automated refuse and recycling trucks with rolling carts. This system has several benefits.
And we all know the benefits. Unfortunately, the city council a couple years ago said we're going to ban roll carts. And now this is back. It's been in the news forever. It's silly, frankly. ABC 17, our news partners at ABC 17, as a matter of fact, recently did a story regarding this new pay-as-you-throw system. And part of this pay-as-you-throw system with the trash bags emblazoned with which is what poor marketing this is for the city of Columbia. You have people driving through our town, and they see trash bags, which is dumb enough anyway, in my opinion. When I first moved here, trash bags sitting on people's front yards. What is this? I have this different image of Columbia. I'm thinking beautiful in parks. We just throw our trash bags out in the front yard. People say, well, do you think roll carts look better? Yes.
Yes.
Resounding yes, by the way. And I think there's very few people that would disagree with that. But it's been in the news forever. And then this whole thing with the pay-as-you-go and the city emblem on the trash bag. For the love of God, and for everybody that lives in Columbia, if you continue to do the thing with the trash bags, that's fine. Will you take off the City of Columbia logo? Like, put Kansas on there or something. Can you put, like, Jayhawks on those trash bags or something like that? Take off the City of Columbia. You know how piss poor that is to say, here's a marketing thing. We're gonna put City of Columbia on our trash bags. We're going to market the city on trash bags. My goodness. The city says it has, according to a story from ABC 17, and they did a pretty nice story. And this
was a sweeps package, actually.
Yes.
Molly did that.
Yeah. Molly Stevanoga recently did this story and says basically it's not helped as far as staffing and all. It's just not. It's not worth everything that. And I don't care who the people in charge. I don't care who the elected servants have been. Nobody, and I don't get it. Nobody has been able to get a handle on trash in the city of Columbia. And I want to cry and laugh at the same time.
It's one of those issues, and Molly did a really nice job on that. It was for television, that was an in-depth piece. I believe that ran 4 minutes, as I recall. I remember seeing that, did a lot of interviews. She took kind of a different angle. She looked at the angle she looked at, and part of it was about the workers' comp issue, which is huge. But to your point, Branden, you're absolutely correct. It's 20 years probably, but again, it's one of those things that it's not cut and dry Democrat Republican. I know people on both. It really even liberal conservative, but I will tell you, especially the elderly people, and I've covered. It's been 20-something years ago. Some of them are single-issue voters, and it would seem to be, based on this petition, it'll be a slam dunk. It will not. I think that there will be a sizable portion of people who will come out and want to keep the way it is right now. There's no doubt.
I'm happy the city is talking about this tonight and saying, okay, we're going to, in effect, rescind our ban. And I remember, when that happened 2 years ago, it was a 3-3 vote. Mm-hmm. So that's why, and maybe I'm talking about a different trash issue. There's been so many, but it's just been insane. By the way, at this time we were supposed to, in my mind at least, supposed to have on Shane Roden. He is Missouri State Representative, reps Jefferson County, south of St. Louis, talking about the medical weed industry, apparently pushing back against the recreational weed industry. Fascinating, some fascinating mechanics at play here. Somebody pulled a Joe Biden and got the days and things.
Was it JJ?
It was JJ. Oh, that's a new nickname I picked up while you were gone, Steph.
Oh, yeah?
JJ. Joe Jr. That's me.
Oh, I like it.
So he will be here tomorrow as originally scheduled at 8:10. That's why he's not here right now, because I messed up. I'm a human being and made a mistake. 874-9390. Rich, welcome into the show. What's up?
Well, I just got off the phone with the city of Columbia for this issue.
Trash bags and roll carts.
Yeah.
Really? How did that go?
Not very well. They sidestepped everything and then put me off to where I can't talk to anybody directly. They have to call me back. Basically, I didn't have the nice logo on my trash bag. I explained to them that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks they didn't have trash bags. And they said, well, then my problem is with the company that supplies the trash bags. I'm sorry. My problem is with the city of Columbia. You take care of your customer. I'm your customer. You take care of me.
Yeah, and I feel you, Rich, because I cannot tell you. As a matter of fact, Brian Hansen, who is the star of the Gary Nolan Show, weekdays 9 to noon here on 93.9 The Eagle, the round and rounds that he has had with people within the city, because you go to the grocery store, they don't have them, the city doesn't have them. So I don't have trash bags with the City of Columbia logo. I'm going to put out my... Oh, we're not going to pick it up. Damn it, just give me some trash bags. That's all I'm looking for. I'll take some spray paint. I will spray paint City of Columbia logos on the bag. Come on. And I can't imagine how frustrating that has to be for you, Rich.
Oh, yeah. I actually I put trash out that wasn't in a city trash bag one time, and I put it out for 3 weeks in a row. I was finally able to get a city trash bag, so I just cut it, and I wrapped it around that bag, and you know what? They magically picked it up.
I say we go and we get cans of gray spray paint. So seriously, try this. This wouldn't bother me at all. I don't care about the repercussions at this point with the city on issues like this. Get your own silver spray paint, gray spray paint, and just start painting your own trash bags. Or we could save money, Rich. What do you think of this idea? I hate the idea, and I love Columbia. I do. I hate the idea that we're marketing ourselves on trash bags. People come to town. My dad comes here. My mom comes here from out of town. My sister and nephews took them to a basketball game a couple weeks ago. And you're driving down the street, and you see the city. It's like advertisement signs for the City of Columbia on trash bags. It's stupid. I say we save money, and we just instead of City of Columbia, we just take big letters, COC. That'll save some money in printing costs because we're using, I think, less ink. It'll save a little bit of money, and it doesn't say Columbia on there. But if Columbia wants to get all official, we can put a big COC for City of Columbia. What do you think of that idea?
Well, I actually have thought of that, but mine was going to be putting City of Columbia, but Skull and Crossbones where their logo goes.
Hey, Rich, anything else that we can do for you today?
Well, I was also going to mention that we didn't have a problem with trash bag until someone started bringing up the roll carts, and then all of a sudden we have problems picking up trash. Magic.
God. Hey, bud, hang in there. Have a great day.
Oh, yeah. I might call you back when I get a call back from them.
Let us know how that goes. And here's why. It's because I hear so many people that have this exact same problem. And that's the part I can't understand is when you have people like Brian Hansen and other friends, other people. I'm sure we've all had our experiences with people that are frustrated trying to get trash bags. Well, that's not our problem. Well, yeah, it is your problem. If you're going to make me do this, it absolutely is your problem.
They made it their problem.
Yeah, and they just know, and it's not just the people currently, not just our current elected servants, but there's a whole collection of elected servants that we have had over the years that have fumbled on this, that just cannot get it right. And I look around and I think, why is it that just about every single city in America, including cities of the same socioeconomic makeup and as the same population as Columbia, it's not an issue. It's not an issue. Why? Here, it's like, I think, is the City of Columbia, are we like on an ancient Indian burial ground? Are we cursed? Because that's the only thing I can think of. We are cursed that nobody who's been elected to office has been able to figure this out.
I can enlighten you a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't speak, but basically one of their basic problems is they hire people straight out of prison. There are people out there that carry guns daily. Nobody wants to work with criminals that are carrying guns. There's actually been a case where
now wait, you're saying that who hires criminals, the city or the trash department?
The city. Well, the city is the trash department.
Right, but you're saying the city as a whole hires people who have been released from prison.
Well, I know for a fact that the trash department does, and that's where they're having the problems. No one wants to work with criminals. No one wants to work with that culture, and that's why they can't get good people. And it starts with the management, and that's where that if things aren't working, get rid of management, bring in somebody new. That's what everybody else does.
Okay, interesting. That is one I have not heard before.
I've not heard that either.
Rich,
wow.
Thank you for the phone call. We appreciate you checking in here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Also, kind of something that's happening here in town. Mizzou men's basketball coach for a long time. I'm bummed that Conzo Martin is no longer the coach of Mizzou men's basketball, but if you don't win, that's what happened. I had really hoped big things for him. Didn't work out. And here's one of the reasons I liked him. Followed his career because I was in St. Louis, and then he was going to Purdue, and I was working in northern Indiana when he was there, and he's a good guy. He was about the student athletes, and he made sure that he had fine young men coming through his program, but couldn't win. And I don't know, people always want to say we want to bring in a big name coach, and I think over the years there's been kind of this movement that, okay, you don't, not just here, but nationwide and a lot of other coaching jobs, it's not just about bringing in a big name coach, because that used to be, that was the thing, you bring in a big name coach. Now the hope is you hope you find a diamond in the rough. Right. And I think we did that with Gary Pinkel years ago. What about this guy coming potentially from Cleveland State?
Dennis Gates is his name. I think you bring up a very good point. And if you look at quote-unquote splash hires, Quinn Snyder was a quote-unquote splash hire, and it was let's be honest, that didn't work out at all. I mean, it just didn't. Now, he's had success after he left, obviously, and went on to Salt Lake City, but he had a couple good years, but really it was not it was just, and it's hard to replace a legend, too. He replaced Norm Stewart. In this case, this is Dennis Gates. I think what Jarrett Sutton, who's I respect a lot, does some broadcasting, former player, he's telling fans to do is give the guy a chance, because some of the people on Mizzou Twitter, the fan base, if you will, and you don't know how representative that is, they'll complain. I'll be honest, Brandon, they'll complain no matter who the new coach is going to be. Some of them, it just will. And, I've seen some that say, well, it's the Horizon League. Well, the Horizon League's pretty good. And if you look at Cleveland State, you and I remember 1986, not all terribly long ago, Cleveland State upset Indiana the year before they won the national championship, beat St. Joseph, came within a point of beating Navy to go to the Final Eight. This is a team that over the years has had success. And we'll see. I mean, I'm waiting right now for a Board of Curators notice, because once we see that, we'll have a pretty good idea. But other than that, I mean, I don't know a ton about him, but I certainly know Cleveland State, and I'm familiar with him. But I think people that are making fun of the Horizon League, that's poor. St. Peter's.
I was just going to ask, who, by the way, still has St. Peter's in their March Madness bracket? Hannah, did you do a bracket this year?
I did not.
Hauswirth?
I can't. Full disclosure, I can't do one because I work at Learfield. We're prohibited,
and we don't do it because we don't gamble in the workplace,
or because it's illegal.
It's illegal, so we don't do that here.
Technically, yeah, and that's spot on. But I mean, it's just amazing. I would not want to face them, but I wish him the best. Look, it certainly does appear, Brandon, that he's going to be the next coach at Mizzou.
So we'll hope on that. Does anybody still have St. Peter's? And who's another straggler still out there as we move forward with March Madness? Coming up, 8:26. Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. What do we have?
I'm sticking on
93.9 The Eagle. Watch the show on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
All right. Branden, how are you? Can you hear me?
I'm excellent. I can hear you. Sorry that I've got a mouthful. I've been busy doing stuff.
Oh, my
Thank
gosh.
you for bringing that to my attention.
What are you eating?
I'll move sunflower kernels.
Good Lord.
Well, so
that's what everyone tuned in this morning to do, is hear you eat on air. Ugh.
Well,
yeah, people at home right now are cringing so hard.
That's one of my things. I can't. People who like mouth noises. Ooh.
Caught me off guard because I was trying to research. We're on the verge of World War III, according to Ukrainian President Zelensky.
And so Joe Biden is in really important meetings right now, right?
He was at the beach riding his bike this weekend.
What?
Basket and orange flag, and we're on the verge of World War III. Joe Biden, he's at the beach.
But don't you think the people that are in the White House who are actually running the show were like, hey, Joe, we need you to step aside while we take care of business here. It'd be better if you were just out of the picture.
Why don't you get out of town for a few days, Joe? Good morning, 8:28, time for the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Well, I just got back from Disney, and you would never know, but they are having some internal struggles. I guess, there's this Florida bill that some people are alleging bans the discussion of gender issues in the classroom. And at first, Disney was like
third grade.
Yes. Yeah. And so I guess at some point, Disney's like, we're not going to take a stand because, we're a corporation and we don't need to get involved. And then that wasn't good enough for the employees and for others. So then the CEO issued an apology saying oh, I'm sorry, I didn't stand with you. And that's not good enough either. You should. And so now the apology apparently hasn't satisfied Disney's rank and file. Employees are staging walkouts. But I thought it's really interesting because when I was there are so many things that I was thinking, I can't believe this hasn't gotten canceled already. So I rode Splash Mountain, and apparently it's still Song of the South, which that movie has been canceled. But they haven't. They've said they're going to revive it or revamp the whole ride to get rid of that, but they haven't. And then It's a Small World. You go through each country, and it's very stereotyped, I guess. And I'm like, I can't believe they haven't gotten in trouble for some of this stuff already. So I thought that was a fascinating part of the Disney culture.
There is a commercial on TV for a movie coming on. I'm glad you said something. And I saw the commercial, and I'm like, oh, mine. I don't know if it's a Disney, Pixar, but I'm like,
I think it's Disney. I think I saw something for
this. That's totally inappropriate. By the way, Randy Tobler hosts the Randy Tobler Show, weekdays 4 to 6 here on 93.9 The Eagle. I heard him say something on a show the other day I thought was really cool. I hadn't heard anybody put it this way before. He said he was falling asleep on wokeness. I thought that was cool. You should check out his show, man. He's here today, 4 to 6 on 93.9 The Eagle. I have your ABC 17 storm track forecast. Sunshine today, high 76. And I'll tell you right now, that's the pick day of the week. 52 tonight. Cooler tomorrow with rain, high 65. Even cooler on Wednesday, maybe 50 with showers. Right now, 59 degrees. Stop by Club Car Wash. Get an unlimited membership, only $20 a month. As a matter of fact, you can get more details at clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. A January 6th Capitol riot case kicks off today.
Otero County, New Mexico Commissioner Coy Griffin, the founder of Cowboys for Trump, has vowed to ride a horse to court for his bench trial, and that's not the only unusual thing about the case. Griffin is the second person to be tried on charges stemming from the U.S. Capitol riot, and one of the few defendants who is not accused of entering the Capitol itself or engaging in any violent or destructive behavior.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, one of the big losers this morning in early trading, Boeing, which had a plane go down in China.
China Eastern Airlines 737-800, 132 people on board. It crashed in the mountains in southern China after a really sudden descent. No signs of survivors.
Lauren Simonetti with the Fox Business Network. That model is one of the most common passenger planes in the world. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31. We do have bright sunshine. We're expecting a high today of around 76 degrees and rain in the forecast tonight into tomorrow as well. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Boone County Sheriff's deputies say human remains found Sunday afternoon in Rocky Fork Conservation Area north of Columbia are believed to be that of a missing woman, Angie Rice. ABC 17's Kennedy Miller on scene at the conservation area.
Rice's vehicle was located in the parking lot of this area on December 31st. Police tell me numerous searches of the area have been conducted since Rice was reported missing. However, Rice's body was not located during those searches.
ABC 17's Kennedy Miller on scene from Rocky Forks. The body has been turned over to the medical examiner's office. Rocky Forks is 6 miles north of Columbia. It's near Highway 63. A Boone County judge, meantime, scheduling an April 19th jury trial. A Columbia man who's charged with murder in a high-profile 2017 drug-related killing in Old Hawthorne. 29-year-old Jeffrey McWilliams, who was featured on Restaurant Impossible in 2019, is charged with second-degree murder for the death of Augustus Roberts. He was brutally pistol-whipped in his home before being shot to death. Judge Joshua Calvin Devine, rejecting the defense request to quash a DNA swab. That means McWilliams will have to do a swab as soon as possible. Columbia voters will be casting ballots in April, it appears, on a measure to repeal the city's prohibition on residential roll carts. And the Columbia City Council also talk about safety at a downtown parking garage. It's had several suicides at their meeting tonight. News brought to you by Hemi Construction. Our news time, 8:33. Turning our attention now to sports on this busy Monday. All eyes right now on the Mizzou basketball team. It appears that the coach that the team is looking at, the university, Desiree Reed-Francois, is Dennis Gates. That's according to a number of news reports over the weekend, including our colleague Andrew Kaufman at ABC 17. His source confirmed that he's going to be the new coach. Mr. Gates spent 3 seasons in Cleveland, NCAA tournament in 2021. And several high-profile names will be inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame coming up in May. Kurt Flood, Mark Burley among them. Also, former Big Red star O.J. Anderson.
Down at their own 23. Another running play to Anderson. Big hole. Across the 40 at midfield. Anderson at the 30. 20, 15, 10, 5. Took down. 76 yards for O.J. Anderson.
The great Dan Kelly there on the call. We thank Big Red Twitter for that. Dan Kelly, what a great voice, known for hockey, also called Mizzou football as well. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to post your job opening today. You can find a job as well. Roads right now pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If we're missing something or if you want to report a traffic issue, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes, and we have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Notice there's some trailers that I've been seeing on the TV for a movie called Red or Turning Red. And without reading anything, I see it, and it's like it's got the stereotypes. It's the red panda and the Chinese and all this stuff. And I'm like, aren't these like almost tropes? Some of this stuff that you're showing to a point? And I thought, of all people, so we're not supposed to be doing that according to typically people like Disney. I'm like, isn't this the stuff that you rail against? And you're doing the very same thing because you're saying it's okay. And you notice that on some of the stuff there at Disney.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a lot of stereotypes. I mean, and just things that I was like, I can't believe like the woke culture hasn't tried to cancel this yet. And apparently, so Splash Mountain, I guess, is all themed in Song of the South, which apparently you can't get that movie anywhere anymore. Like it's banned from everything. But the when you go through the ride, it's still that. Now, apparently, there are plans to completely redo that ride, but it still seemed very Song of the South when I was there. And then also with like It's a Small World, you kind of went through each country, and it was very much like stereotyped. And so, they're like kangaroo, you think like Australia kangaroo, I would say like the eyes were different when we were in China, right? Like there were just, some very stereotypical things, and when you go to the Middle East, there's like turbans, just like, and so I'm surprised that some people haven't said like, hey, like, it's a small world and we're all a little bit more like multicultural in every country than how that ride portrays. Although I rode that ride when I was a little kid with my mom, so I was really glad to go on it. And it's like one of the classic Disney rides. And so I think, but, you like here in Boone County, people going after like the historical mural, right? So just the fact that the ride's been around forever, doesn't prevent people from coming in and saying, hey, that's not how we should portray these cultures anymore. And so I was kind of surprised that maybe, Disney has gotten a pass on some of these things from the woke culture, but apparently from a business perspective, they are now being asked to weigh in on some of these more political issues, and now they're trying to, and then it's not going well for them. And I think it gets into that larger discussion of, should corporations weigh in? And then when they do, how will people respond? And I think what we know is liberals are so much better at boycotting than conservatives. And trying to cancel companies over this, and conservatives could do a better job of that, I think.
Or just not cancel at all.
I mean,
if you don't like the business, don't go and do business with that business. If you don't want to watch a Disney movie, then don't go watch that Disney movie. If you don't want to buy that cola or buy that sporting good stuff, then don't.
Well, and I think people's big beef with this new movie, this Turning Red, isn't that it's, stereotypical. It's that apparently it's pretty mature. And so it's like done in a cartoon fashion, but it's over like puberty, and it gets into some issues that people maybe think are not necessarily appropriate for the age that it's targeted at. Now, I haven't seen it. I do plan to watch it, and I plan to, pay attention before I let my kids watch it. I don't know if it's out on Disney Plus or not.
It is.
Okay.
So I saw that it was getting a lot of, I don't know, I hate to say backlash.
And
but
see, I haven't seen any of that. This is just me seeing it on the TV going, whoa, that's kind of racist. So I haven't seen any backlash or whatever.
A couple of my Facebook friends had shared like a viral Facebook post sort of outlining all of the quote-unquote issues with the movie Turning Red. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this and see what I think. Now, obviously, I don't have kids, so I'm watching it through a different lens than the original Facebook poster. But I personally did not see anything wrong with it. A lot of people are upset because it's got like that teen rebellion. The main characters are all teenage girls, and they're, trying to do sneaky things behind their parents' back. But that's, I think, most movies targeted for that age group. I don't think that that's anything out of the ordinary.
I think the challenge is, as a parent and as a grandparent, you have an expectation. You went to Disney, you had an expectation of what you were going to get at Disney. And I think whenever somebody tunes into a Disney movie with kids, there is an expectation that's not being met. As a matter of fact, I had a pretty spirited discussion via text with somebody who's running for office now. I was talking about the movie Disney, it was Jungle Cruise or something, starred Dwayne Johnson, and there's this scene in there that really has nothing to do with the movie where this kid says, hey, I'm gay and all this, and I mentioned it here on the show, and here's how I mentioned it, and that's why, by the way, this person completely misconstrued it. Another reason I wouldn't vote for this individual, completely misconstrued what I said. And I think, if you're trying to run for office and you don't listen, good, that's one thing. And this person wasn't listening to what I said. And it's what I said when it comes to this movie, The Jungle Cruise. There was this scene in there, this kid, hey, I'm gay and all this. And I said here on this, I'm like, hey, just so you know, it's in there. And here's why I mentioned it. Like, if you're a parent, you have an expectation of what a Disney movie is. And I said, just so you know, it's in there because in one day, when even if you're not a parent, people will find out. That's a tough thing as a parent when your kid comes up and says, hey, Mommy, what's this? What's that? If you're not prepared for it, especially if you're watching a Disney movie, yeah, that's not the time or place for it. In my mind, some people are fine with it. So I was just saying, just know that it's in there. And I get this, well, you don't need to warn parents. Well, I didn't warn parents. You're not a very good listener, by the way. But it was this whole thing, and no, it really had nothing to do with the movie. So I think that's the thing. So I didn't know that was a thing that people are getting upset about. I just thought, man, those are some racist tropes in there.
Well, and, Stephanie kind of touched on this, but it does talk a lot about, the main characters going through puberty. And there are a couple mentions of, like, pads and tampons.
And periods.
And
all right, moving forward.
Don't be a white guy about this.
I think that part of the movie is a noble goal, right? Like we should not be worried about talking about that. Brandon's over there,
but not in a right.
But you're over here spelling COC, and then you're grossed out.
City of Columbia.
And and you're worried about there are these viral videos on TikTok of like girls showing their boyfriends how a tampon actually works.
All right,
and they are like
874-9390. Jim, all right, that's enough. Seriously. Jim, welcome to the show. What's up?
Pineapple.
Thank you.
So we have Disney Plus. We have 4-year-old, 2-year-old. My 4-year-old couldn't wait to, see that movie when it finally came out like a week ago or whatever. And we watched it, a couple times because they just get into new stuff. And a lot of stuff is over his head, but it is, like Hannah said, about 13-year-old girl rebellion from her parents, It doesn't seem racist or anything. It's just a specific family's heritage and their linkage to the Red Panda stuff. But one thing I noticed also, I don't know if you've seen the Eternals Disney Marvel movie, but that too was a little kind of shocking. Me and my wife went to it when that came out, and there's a scene where 2 of the characters are on the beach, and it's just, brief and short, but a little more racy than, you would expect a Marvel movie to be. So that was kind of shocking.
Yeah, because as parents and grandparents, we have expectations, and some of those things, some people may not be bothered, but you're talking about my kids. You're talking about my kids now, and that's a completely different issue. Jim, thank you for the phone call.
Yep.
I remember one of the first Disney movies we took our kid to, was The Jungle Book. And then the reenacted or the newer Jungle Book. And I was thinking, like, I hope, and they were really young. And I was like, I really hope this isn't one where, like, the people die. And, of course, within, like, the first 2 minutes, both parents die in a car accident. And I was like, I was not, prepared for that. But, I get a little chuckle because they basically make a ride after every movie. And I'm trying to think, is there going to be a ride like Journey Through Puberty? Like, how would that ride exactly?
With big echoey voice.
I did the Star Wars one. I did the Ratatouille ride. I did the Mermaid Elsa thing. What's the Turning Red ride look like? Who's having to sit around and design that?
I remember as a kid, my grandparents got a VCR, and back then, man, you got a VCR.
You were hot stuff.
That was a pretty big deal. And I remember, so we go to the video store and we rent movies and all this stuff. And I don't know what the movie was we watched, but it's me and a couple of my cousins, and we're sitting there with Grandma and Grandpa, and we're watching this movie. And again, there was an expectation from our grandparents that was not met by this line of movies. And I remember sitting there as like a 12-year-old kid watching topless women there on the TV. Now, there's anything wrong with that, but that was not the expectation.
Oh, so there's nothing wrong with topless women on TV. But talking about menstruation is where you draw the line?
Huh.
Interesting.
You're just asking to be pranked.
93.9 The Eagle and 93.9 TheEagle.com. Coming up, some leftovers here. And by hydrojetting, pro-pumping.com. Here's what they do. They put folks on maintenance programs for septic tanks, for lagoons. They do grease traps. And they do a lot of the big institutions in town, like places you eat, places that you know and love. Those places, they trust pro-pumping and hydrojetting to handle some of that stuff. So if these places that you're hanging out at all the time, if they are relying on pro-pumping and hydrojetting, They do good work. As a matter of fact, they were just recently, the folks at Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting were just doing some work at the fire training headquarters recently. And here's the thing, with a septic tank, they put you on a maintenance program. Biggest problems we see time after time after time. Somebody that, I didn't think about the septic tank until I had a problem. You have a problem. It is a big, nasty, expensive problem. But if you're on a maintenance program, those are problems typically that you will not have to endure because you're getting your septic tank maintained regularly. So find them online. Learn what they can do for you. pro-pumping.com.
Hey, it's Coach Gary Pinkel. I like to listen to Branden Rathert on Wake Up Columbia 93.9 The Eagle.
Because you've never been in the no, you don't. I do. You've never been in the private sector in your
I've worked, sir. At least we're not in Ohio. Ohio U.S. Senate race. Josh Mandel got into the face of Mike Gibbons. They got into an argument on, got up out of the chair at this. It wasn't even really supposed to be a debate. It was more or less kind of like a candidate forum. And they get up and they get into each other's faces. These are guys that are running for the United States Senate in Ohio. By the way, we have some polling numbers here from our U.S. Senate race when I get into here shortly here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Como Man Show. Hannah, what was your favorite part about the Como Man Show?
It was honestly just really nice to get to meet members of the Wake Up Columbia family.
And I thought the other cool thing, such a big collection of small local businesses. You know, we always sing the praises of our small local businesses and how they are really the backbone, not just of the Missouri economy, but the mid-Missouri economy. I mean, this is important stuff, and all of these folks in one place. It was also kind of disheartening to see, because there were several people there doing recruitment, representing various businesses and agencies doing recruitment, and they're like, we can't even recruit people. They just, for some reason, people just don't want to work. And these were really significant, pretty good paying jobs. We spoke with one guy that was featured in the news last week. He's had to close, at least temporarily, one of his businesses. And he put it to me like this. He said, Branden, he says, left work on a Friday, had 15 employees. Come back in Monday morning. He said, I had about half that. I had this happen to a couple. I had this happen, and then that happened, and then just no calls and no shows. And he says, so these people are making that decision to no call, to no show. It affects me as a businessman. I have to make a decision. I probably safely cannot open up today because these people have just not even called in sick, just not showing up. So this business person who helps with the backbone here in mid-Missouri has to make a decision. I can't open today. And then he's got a bunch of disappointed customers because this guy's closed because he had people just not calling, not showing, not wanting to work. But other than that, it was pretty good.
I'm really sad that I missed it. I was there last year, and I really enjoyed seeing everybody. So hopefully my schedule works out a little bit better next year.
All right, let's do some pole dancing. Stephanie's back from vacation, and she's got some poll numbers from this 2022 U.S. Senate race here in Missouri. You know, Vicky Hartzler, current Congresswoman, Attorney General Eric Schmidt, former Democrat and former Governor Eric Greitens. You've got Mark McCloskey, who's going to be at the Boone County Lincoln Days coming up in April. And probably some other names in there that I'm missing because there's a lot right now. And interesting, this is done by the Trafalgar Group.
Sure. So what they did was they put up the top Republican candidates against the top two Democrat candidates, who are Sifton and Kuntz, who you've probably heard less about, to see how would they go head to head. And Schmidt, not surprisingly, would beat either Kuntz or Sifton by plus 14 or plus 15. So comfortably. Even and Hartzler would actually run away with it with plus 20 or plus 17. So her numbers were even higher than Schmidt's against either of the Democrat candidates. Not surprisingly, Greitens would put the Republicans in a dead heat with the Democrats, essentially. Greitens v. Sifton, a tie. Greitens v. Kuntz just has Greitens at plus 1.
For what polls are worth, but have people been saying this?
People have been saying this.
And now there's polling that's showing what could potentially happen. Thanks.
It matters. It matters because if I'm a conservative, and I have a lot more money than I do right now, and I give to these causes, right? I'm hoping that I don't have to spend a lot of money in the Senate race because we should run away with it, right? In Missouri, it should be an easy Republican seat. Obviously, if Greitens is the nominee, it appears that Republicans are going to have to work a heck of a lot harder to try to keep that seat red, and that's just a miserable place for all of us to be in.
Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. That's Stephanie Bell. Hi, I'm Branden Rathert, Hannah, the producer, and Brian Hauswirth are here. Getting ready for the Gary Nolan Show. He's coming up just minutes from now. My dad's getting excited listening online because the Gary Nolan Show is his favorite show of the day here on the radio station.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
All right, some of the things that we did not get a chance to get onto the show today. I thought this was kind of interesting. I don't know if you heard about this. There was a car show somewhere in Arkansas over the weekend, and a bunch of people got shot. One of them died. There was like 20 people that got shot. This is in Dumas, Arkansas. And it's put on by, it's an annual event put on by something called the Hood Nick Foundation. And what's interesting, you read so I went to the local news outlets to learn about what was going on there. And apparently this is an event that's supposed to promote nonviolence. And as we see at a lot of these events where they're promoting nonviolence, what happened? Violence breaks out there. But not everybody is reporting that. And I don't know if that has something to do with some kind of narrative. Well, we don't want to mention, because, listen, if we say this was an event to promote nonviolence, it's really a dog whistle for you-know-what. So if we say that, we're bringing attention to the fact that as these things can happen sometimes, we're promoting nonviolence. But violence is going to happen. Why? Because you got a large gathering of people from the same types of lifestyles that take part in these activities. It's going to cause problems. But we can't put that in some of these news stories because people will think we're, anything else catch your fancy for leftovers?
Our news partner at KMIZ is doing a roll cart survey. So far, 74% of people say, yes, Columbia should embrace roll carts for trash pickup. Team roll carts.
Team roll carts. Tomorrow, Matt Pitzer, City Councilman Matt Pitzer, is going to be joining us on the show. Talk about whatever happens at tonight's City Council meeting. Gary Nolan Show is next. See ya.
Bye.